There sure is.
Hi, Mary. Are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay, can I get your pronouns, please?
Just Mary. Miss Mary.
Do you know what
Right?
pronouns are, hon?
Miss Mary, I think. Or she? I
She,
don't
her,
know.
yes.
Okay, she.
Okay, are you a believer of a God?
Yes.
Okay. Which God do you believe in?
The God of the Bible.
Okay, thank you very much. And, may I ask, do you think your God is all good?
Yes, I think the intention of God is always good. Things might go wrong, but He's always good, yes.
Do you think all of his laws are good?
I think when you do something wrong and the law is punishing you, you don't think the law is good. But if you are being protected by the law, you think the law is good.
Okay, may I ask a couple questions about one of these laws that's in the book?
One of the laws in the book
Yes.
that is good.
No, I have a question about one of the laws I've read.
Okay.
So, in Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21, I believe, it talks about stoning women who don't bleed on their wedding night.
Well, I think the books are influenced by the man, but not, you know, you know what I mean?
But
Men wrote those.
is the book written by God or written by man?
The book is written by a man.
Okay. Was it influenced by God?
Some of it, but not all of it, because a
Okay.
man has free will, so he can change things and alter things, like just
Okay, so
because
how
he
do you
has
know
free will.
what to believe and what not to?
So why we believe in God is we have no explanation for, let's say, for example, the water exists and the water is good for us. So we believe God created the water.
Did
God
you know
created
your
other things that are good for us, but
did
the way and then we created religion to communicate with God. So I think we made mistakes. I will admit that. But I think that based on everything that is around us, God's intention is good.
how do you know it's not the God of, say, like the Greek deities or let's say Egyptian or Chinese or Mesopotamian?
That created the world.
Yeah, they have primordial deities that were thought to create the world.
Uh, you, I, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. Because I said I believe in the God of the Bible, but you're saying, what if it was a different God, right?
Yeah,
That's what you're
yeah.
saying? Okay.
Why do you specifically believe in the God you believe in?
Uh, okay, let's just say, in terms of, I believe in God that created the world, and the Bible claims that this God that created the world is the one that exists in the Bible.
Okay, so um because the Bible claims it, that's why you believe?
No, I had to see other things around in the world, and I believe, and then the Bible is talking about the God that created the world. Therefore, I believe that God. There are other gods, but I don't believe in them.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you believe in? Are you atheist?
I personally am not an atheist. Brett is an atheist, though. I'm a polytheist.
Okay, I see. So it's just difficult to say God doesn't exist when you didn't create the ocean, the sky, Earth itself, the sun, the entire universe. You didn't do it. And even if scientists say they have discovered something, I feel like they are discovering what God created, and they get fascinated by that because we were not here when God created the world. So when we discover something, we get fascinated. And I think that's what's happening. So, yeah, I think we should believe in God because of all these things we enjoy.
Do you think it matters which God people believe in?
I think it it all comes to one God. There is only one God.
Well, what about the Bible of the Quran, the God of the Quran?
I think we express ourselves in different languages, so we might seem like we are being different, but we are talking about one God at the end of the day.
And what's your opinion on polytheists?
Uh, I do apologize. I'm not that smart. I don't know what that is.
Polytheists are just people who believe in many gods.
Okay. You know what? I don't mind it. I don't mind
Okay.
it at all, but I just think there is a superior God. Even if the other God exists, then I believe the God that created the world is much more superior. So,
But we have no way of knowing which first of all, we have no way of knowing if there was a God. Second, like with I know with bread, there's no actual evidence of a God existing because anything you say about a God, unless there's actual proof of it, minus the Bible, because the Bible is a claim, and as you've already said, it was written by man, so there's man's influence in it. But with, like, let's say the universe could have always existed, we have no way of knowing that either.
there are other planets, right?
That's why I said
So,
universe, not.
okay, yeah. So I just wanted to say, you see other planets, they exist, but they're not as useful as Earth. Earth is
They are very
useful
useful.
because of the God that exists in it.
You want to know why the other planets are useful? Gravitational pull. Not only that, but there's been water found on, I don't remember which planet exactly. If we have somebody who knows exactly which planet,
Hmm.
that would be extremely helpful. Mars. Thank you, Tiny. Mars, they had found signs of water on it.
But nobody lived there.
Who's to say they didn't? They didn't live there at one point. We
Oh,
weren't
well,
around.
if they lived there and they left, then it wasn't that important.
Okay,
I don't want
and
to be rude.
no, you're good.
Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, which is why a lot of atheists are agnostic because, hell, there could be a possibility, but we don't know.
Some people believe in 2012 that the world was gonna end, but because there is a
Yeah.
powerful God on this planet, the world isn't gonna end. It's always going to be saved by God.
The whole world is ending thing has been going on for I don't know how long at this point. Because there's another date that's been set, and then when it happens and nothing happens, they push it again and they push it again, and it's a constant cycle. That's something you notice quite a bit because there's
Yeah,
been just since I've been around at least 17 different dates that have set, and 3 of them have been within the past year.
yeah. So it's not God saying them. It's humans. Uh,
But they claim to have heard it from a god. That's the thing. They
you
claim to have
know,
heard.
I understand. But you know what is happening? People might be skeptical because they haven't uh, met God physically. So they can say, oh, well, I never saw God. You believe there is an ocean and you can see it. So, but you haven't seen God. That's why you can be skeptical. But at the end of the day, if you see everything on earth, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You had nothing to do with it. So you believe in God because it exists there and it's useful for you. So, like, the world is just so perfect
The
to,
world's perfect in any way, shape, or form, and I can explain why. Do you know how much of the water is drinkable?
but we use those water,
Do
even
you know
though
how
we
much
don't
water?
drink them.
The amount of water that is drinkable is less than 1%.
But it's
The
enough
world
for
is
us, right?
the world is covered in more than 75% water. There's a reason why so many people unalive because of dehydration.
Okay, so we use the salty water to fish in, for example. So we are still using those water anyway. And other countries can purify their own salty water and drink them as well. So that's good. So,
Not all countries can do that though.
but if they had capability, they can do it.
Not all countries have the capability of doing that. That's what I'm saying. You want to put it on this world existing. Is that hang on a second. No, okay. Either way, you want to put it on potential. You want to put it on oh, well, there has to be a creator because look at the trees, which is not a valid argument because of the fact that science can explain a lot of the world. They're still doing
Yeah.
research, they're still studying. It
Mm-hmm.
has it hasn't shown any proof of there being a god. That's just faith-based.
Mm-hmm.
That's blindly believing in something that could potentially not be there. It's the rascal pagers fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
What is Pascal's wager? That's what it's called. Sorry, Pascal's wager. Well, there's a 1% chance that it could be this god, or a 1% chance it could be this. There's over 10,000 ish deities floating around. First of
Okay,
all,
let's
you don't
just.
know.
Mm,
First of all, you don't know which deity it's going. Which deity. Second of all, you don't even know if there is a deity.
okay. So let's say there are many gods. So and I get it wrong by saying I believe in in the God of the Bible. If there are many gods, it means that the one God is the true God that created the world. So
That's
I might get it wrong,
true.
but there is a God at the end of the day.
But where's the proof of that?
It's like if you were born and you get taken away from your mother and you didn't see your mother and you grow up, people, you know that you were born by a woman anyway, but you don't know your mother. That doesn't make you to believe that there is no such a thing as called mother. Okay?
This has,
So,
okay, okay. What does this have to do with proving a god? You think that a
so
creator
God
has to create
exists.
everything.
God exists. We just haven't met him or her. That's why we can be skeptical or disbelief sometimes, but he does exist because he has left us uh, things that show that he exists. And those are
Look at the
like
trees
I
does not work. The look at the trees does not work. And the reasoning behind this is the fact that it can be scientifically explained.
so what is the explanation of trees existing on Earth?
Oh, I don't have any scientific information. I just have heard this. I can bring,
Mm,
if Tiny Science is still in here.
mm. So I believe the scientists, they just because they were not here when God created Earth and everything that exists in it, so they are discovering what God created. And it fascinates them because they get to understand what they didn't create. They understand something about it. And I think that is what is happening. So just because the science can explain something, science can explain something, but it can't create something. Yeah. So,
Science is actually proving that false, but
okay.
not even going to get on the science topic. What you're using is a fallacy.
Mm.
Because I've already brought it's a special pleading fallacy. That's what you've been using this whole time. It could
Oh,
potentially just be that the universe has always existed, but you want to say there's a creator.
because it's just perfect for it to simply
Not
exist.
perfect by any means. If it was perfect, there wouldn't be earthquakes, there wouldn't be hurricanes or tornadoes. All water would be drinkable, not just less than 1% of it. If the world was perfect, we wouldn't be dealing with pollution right now. We wouldn't be dealing with the 3 million different things that's going on in the world. The world's not perfect.
Okay, like pollution, it's something we created, and God gave us will to do good things for us or bad things for us.
I don't believe in your God.
Okay, I respect that.
You can have your belief in your God.
Hmm,
That's all fine and dandy.
okay.
I, I'm not even trying to prove there's a God. I just asked if it's a question of is your God good?
Okay, yeah, based on, like, for instance, I don't go thirsty every day because God created water. Uh, Other things that I use on earth that are important to my existence. So I say God is good. He had intention, good intention for all of us. Even though we make wrong choices sometimes, I think He had good intention for all of us. Yes. So I think God is good.
Okay. Um. So, how much of the Bible have you read?
Not much, actually.
So, do you know about I brought it up earlier, Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21.
What did it say?
It's about stunning a woman who doesn't bleed on her wedding night.
I believe the Bible was written by a man, and women can be sometimes oppressed, and that is true, Bible was written by a man, but
Is it
it,
is, so you believe the Bible was written by a man?
so I can remove some things in the Bible. I can say I don't like this, okay, and I don't have to say, oh, God created the Bible, so I have to stick with it. No, I can reject some things in the Bible because it was created by a man. So there are stories that are not quite good in it, but
So can we
uh,
just read the Bible?
hmm?
Okay. Thank you for coming on up. A couple that's Alec, are you over 18?
I'm 19.
Okay, thank you very much. And can I get your pronouns,
You're
please?
welcome. He, him.
Thank you very much. Are you a believer of a God?
Yes.
Can I ask which one?
Um, I believe that there is only one God, but yeah, you can call him God because I'm a Muslim.
You're a Muslim, so that means
Yeah.
the Quran.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And police be upon Muhammad.
Okay. Peace be upon him.
The police be upon Muhammad.
Sorry. Police?
Yep.
Why police? Well, maybe because I get you, but that's kind of a stereotype, and it's actually mentioned in the Hadith, and scholars argue about it. But okay, you can't establish that as a fact.
Wasn't establishing anything as a fact, but
But you said
Muhammad.
police be upon on Muhammad, and I assumed you were talking about a specific hadith where, yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I
Enlighten
definitely do.
us.
And
Okay,
I,
so
I
yeah, that's what
yeah,
I
I want
assumed
him
you were
to
talking
tell me. I want him to tell me what we're talking about.
okay,
about. Yeah,
Fred, you
the
have
marriage of
this one.
Aisha.
How old was she?
Well, there are many different, narrations. Some say she's 6, some say she's 17, some actually say she's 13. So we don't have one single answer.
Either way, she's a child, right?
What would you consider a child to be?
What do you consider to be a child? Because I
No,
consider
I'm
it any.
asking you the question. You can't answer a question with a question.
Because I consider it to be anybody under 18. Because that's fucking disgusting.
So, but well, that has only been established, in recent years, in medieval times, and in all of history, a child wasn't, considered by an age; it was considered by, puberty and,
How old
sorry,
was
what was the
Muhammad
word?
when he married Aisha?
In his 40s.
54.
Yeah, I think I okay, 54. Yeah, you're right. I think I mixed it around. Okay.
How old was Aisha again?
Well, there's multiple narrations, but yeah, ranging from 6 to 17, and the highest one is 19.
When did they consummate this
So,
marriage?
well, it depends on which age you're going for.
Just give me the general basis.
Well, I can't give you anything because nothing is actually established as a fact or as true because it's a narration, anyways. It's not something that is proven. It's a narration.
Fred, You're
Do you
up.
understand
Yeah.
what a narration or a hadith is?
Ed, you're up.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about the Islam faith other than general consensus that I've seen is that Aisha was 6 years old when the marriage happened and that she was 9 when it was consummated. I
Yes.
did see that other sources said that she was possibly 15 when she was
Yep.
married, which that's still pretty weird.
No, I mean, well, what you would consider weird, today is not the same as back then. But yeah, I can explain that. So if I'm gonna try and explain hadith to you, so basically the Quran is one. We all have one Quran, and so it's the same as it was 1400 years ago, and there's proof of that. But the hadiths are way different. They're narrations or teachings of Muhammad, or people narrating what he did, what he said, how he acted. So that's basically it by his companions and his family. That's literally what a hadith is. Hadith just translate in Arabic. It just means talk, or just talk. Hadith,
So,
talking.
so
So
to put it simply, a hadith would be just Muhammad's words.
oh yeah, it would be something like that, and not all of them are accurate. So what they do, scholars, is that hadith you're talking about when she was 6. It's in a book called Al-Bukhari, which is from a known scholar in the medieval times, which is Al-Bukhari, and he just studied that, and he put that, and he considered it as a strong hadith. There's a science that studying of hadith and all that. They study who said it and who. Yeah, you get what I mean. So, and there's many different scholars that argue with him. Same as the Quran, because Arabic is a complicated language and has very hard grammar. And the Quran is basically poetry, so you need to have context to understand it. So scholars argue all the time about everything. But yeah, that hadith is just known because it's in the Bukhari, and the Bukhari is considered by Sunnis as an accurate book or accurate narrations. And yeah, not all Muslims believe in that. Some Muslims do believe, but that doesn't make it a fact.
So you're saying
So it's
most
basically
scholars agree
okay. Let me just
that
elaborate. Can I elaborate? So it's basically if a priest was reading a Bible, and each priest translates it in his own way. So you can't it's just an example of a priest explaining something to the audience or to the believers. So
But
they're
you're
not
saying that,
exactly
like,
the same.
generally they agree that the one saying that she was 6 years old is the correct one?
Not generally. Actually, they argue about that, but in a book that's generally accepted by Saudi scholars, which is in Saudi Arabia, which are known to be bribed and all that shit because they're corrupt. Because and I can give you a fact that they were bribed in 2023 by a company that makes lab-grown meat, and they made it halal without revising any scholars or anything, and they're not scholars themselves. So yeah, so we can just the Saudis are corrupt, and they just consider it a strong book of hadith, and what they consider it doesn't it doesn't reflect on in Islam.
Well, that's the extent of my knowledge on Islam.
So when it comes down to
I mean, yeah.
when it comes down to it, the traditional view, most widely cited age in traditional Sunni collections, is that Aisha was 6 or 7 years old at the time of her marriage contract and 9 or 10 years old when the marriage was consummated.
Okay, so yeah, that Saudi Arabians believe that. Yeah, scholars, which are actually funded by the government and controlled by the government. But whatever. So if you go to Egypt, a scholar would argue with you and say, no, that's not right, because if we were to compare her to the age of her sister at the time of the consummation, which is she would have been around 19. If you go to Iran, they would say no, she was 17 at the age of consummation. So it's and also the translation of the hadith has caused major extremism. So some would take the translation and.
Hi, EO, are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm over 50 actually.
Oh, okay. And can I get your pronouns, please?
He, him.
Okay, and are you a believer of a God?
Yes, I'm Christian.
Oh, thank you. You saved me from asking my next question.
Out
So,
of curiosity, what would have been?
which god do you believe in?
Yeah, the triune. Catholic,
Okay.
more likely to be more specific.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And okay, now hang on, sorry. I gotta get my mind in order real quick. Do you believe your God is all good?
Yes, I believe God is good. Humans aren't.
Do you believe the Bible was written or given to men or hang on. I'm having issues wording right now.
Maybe you need a refresh.
Mm,
I have digital
I
problems
it's,
myself.
I'm having brain problems right this second.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
have those too.
it's bread help.
What's the
I'm just here for a dialogue. I'm not like an apologist or anything. I'm not going to convince you guys of anything or bring any evidence, if that's okay.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. Why do you believe your God is all good? There we go. That's what I was trying to ask.
okay?
Because I don't, first of all, I'm a realist. I'm a bit of a pessimist, and I think humans are not good. Humans in by nature are not good, and but I believe good exists in this world. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe goodness, but it doesn't come from humans. And it goodness exists apart from humans because nature is good, everything is good. But we tap into that goodness that comes externally. And that external goodness to me is God.
Okay, so it's because you want to believe there's something outside of just humans, right?
Yeah, I think humans are flawed and by nature they are evil. Humans are evil. I don't basically I say this all the time. I don't trust humans. I trust God, but I can see humans.
Okay, so do you believe the Bible was written by given to humans by God, or do you believe the Bible was man-made?
I believe that's inspired. It's inspired by the Spirit of God and man-made
And man-made? Okay, how do you pick and choose which is which?
because it had to be written. It had to be man had to write down what was inspired to them through God because God can communicate, but the words had to be ours.
Okay,
It had to
so
be
you believe all the rules that are written down were given to humans by God?
all the rules.
Yes.
I'm trying to understand. All the rules were given to it, but essentially yes. But that's a nuance right there that I can't really get into.
Well, that's kind of where we're heading down because there's Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21 that talks about stoning women on their wedding night.
Mm. Yeah, there's a nuance there. I know that there is evil in the Bible, and again, the evil that I find in the Bible is mainly human born, human, and there's a reason for it.
So again, I ask, how do you decide which is which is God inspired and which one is human made?
Well, I don't decide that. I rely on the trust of witnesses that came before me that read that exact same scripture, and I trust their interpretation of it. And I wouldn't trust my own. That's why I subject to a magisterium because there are several other people that read that witness and they have a better discernment of it. So I trust them.
So taking other people's. How much of the Bible have you read?
The New Testament only.
So the only thing you've read is the New Testament. You take other people's words for the Old Testament?
Yes, I trust. I trust the people that came before me, the people that studied it, that really discerned into it, and and they had two or more people that came to the same conclusions, and I accept that. I don't trust the people that read it and say, "Huh, what this means." So we figured it out. If that was so, then why was it not removed from Scripture? There's a reason why that it remained there.
So do you even know which verses I am talking about when I say Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21, where it very specifically tells you to stone a woman who did not bleed on her wedding night?
Well, no, I don't know that verse. Like I said, I could read it and know it and come and see what you're talking about. I have a Bible here. Will that be fine?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, but still, like I said, you have an interpretation of it. Others do, and so I have to find out why should I accept yours. So, but let me get to it.
Well, considering it specifically states to stone women who don't bleed on their wedding night.
Okay, let me give me the chapter again because my numbers are run.
22, Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 13 through 21.
Oh, I wish I had this other Bible that breaks it down.
Which version are you using?
New American Bible, the NAB. 22, 18, 21.
13 through 21. Just so you can read all the context with it.
Oh, okay. Let me see. If a man after marrying a woman and having relationship with her comes to dislike her and accuses her of misconduct and slanders her by saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. The father and the mother of the young woman shall take the evidence of her virginity and bring it to the elders at the city gate. There the fathers of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man in marriage, but he has come to dislike her and now accuses her of misconduct, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity. But here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the city. Then the city elders shall take the man and discipline him and fine him 100 silver shekels, which they shall give to the young woman's father. Because the man slandered a virgin in Israel, she shall remain his wife, and he may not divorce her as long as he lives. Okay, did I go too far?
Keep reading.
Oh, you said 21. But his
Yes.
charge is true, and evidence of the young woman's virginity is not found. But if this charge is true and the evidence of the woman's virginity is not found, they shall bring the young woman to the entrance of her father's house, and there men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a shameful crime in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. Thus shall you purge the evil from your midst. So it's claiming that she committed a crime, and they are asked to stone her on this primitive Mosaic law.
Now my
And
question is,
yeah, okay.
how do they prove that she's a virgin?
How do they prove that she's a virgin? Doesn't say. There's
It does.
no.
Do you see the stretched out the cloth? Do you know how most people in that time thought that, how they thought virginity was considered?
No, I can
Do you
look
know
up
about the
the
Do you know about
I
the
can look
hymen?
up the no. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so this isn't going to get us anywhere because you don't know anything about
No,
women's anatomy.
it's not. Yeah, because it's not my forte. But I can look up the. I can look. I can try and look up what that is told.
I can
But
give you some information. At being a woman myself, I can give you some information.
yeah,
Okay, so the hymen is a muscle that is inside of our vaginal area. Have you ever heard the term pop the cherry?
yeah, I've used it before.
Okay, so that's also known as the hymen. When it gets popped, it is supposed to bleed. But do you know how easy it is to break the hymen?
Um, I'm sure I know, but can you tell me?
Absolutely. So, for one, less than 50% of women bleed on their wedding night, on their first time, because the hymen can break by picking up something heavy, riding a horse, riding a donkey, riding a bike, extensive exercising, falling downstairs. The list could go on and on. The hymen is literally just a muscle that is so easy to break, it's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that time period, they did not know that. So,
No,
this
I
law that
agree to that. Yeah.
this law that quote unquote came from God, right? It's a law that's in the book, is saying that if a woman does not bleed on her wedding night and there is no evidence of the woman being a virgin, hence the bleeding on her wedding night. Yes, some don't bleed. I did not bleed my first time. Some women aren't even born with a hymen. Thank you for the Go Populars, Daniel. Either way, so that means that if the man dislikes this woman and she does not bleed on her wedding night, whether she's a virgin or not, she would get stoned. Because that is the only viable way they had to prove if she was a virgin or not. Right?
Yeah, I agree that they're primitive. It was a
So that
primitive.
would mean that
Mhm.
innocent women got stoned just for not bleeding, right?
Um, that's questionable because I wouldn't if that was your. I don't know how they handled things there, and it doesn't explain in the verse there.
It quite literally says exactly what they do. If she did not bleed on, they stretched out a cloth in front of
Hmm.
the council. If there wasn't blood on it, she was to be taken to her in front of her father's house and stoned because they were considering her as having whored around in her father's house. If there was blood on it, then all the man had to do was pay 100 shekels for slandering a virgin's name in Israel and stay with her for the rest of his life.
Okay. Well, I'm not a Bible literalist, so that's why I don't. I see a bunch of arguments from silence in there, and you can't just determine what you see on surface. In a way, I think you're reading it superficially.
How
And I
else am
mean,
I
I'm not
supposed
an
to read that?
apologist either. I'm not an apologist either. But to
How else
me,
am I supposed to read that, though?
not superficially. That's definitely my advice.
Well, it's a law that's in that book.
There is so many uh, so many bad things that happen from reading the Bible superficially, finding the literal source of it. I mean, I'm trying I'm not trying to, you know, explain these verses to you. I'm just the reading of it is why I don't accept a lot of people's interpretation of scriptures because
During that time period,
I don't trust humans.
during that time period where they treated women as property,
Mhm.
do you not think it would follow this specific law?
Like I said, I don't know that. I don't know this verse. What I do know is that per person's superficial interpretation of scriptures, I don't trust either. But I do trust the many previous saints that have read the scripture and came to the same conclusion. That's what I trust.
Okay, so go find what they say on it and come back to me. Angel requesting. Let's see. Hi, Archangel. Are you over 18?
Yes.
Can I get your pronouns, please?
Sure, he, him.
Thank you very much. Are you a believer of a God?
Yes.
Which one?
The God Yahweh, the biblical.
The biblical God. Okay.
Yes. Is
So, believe your God is all good?
yes.
Okay, why?
Because not only does he say he's good, like everyone says they're good, but not everyone lives up to that standard when it matters, right? Everyone can perform in front of a camera and be YouTube happy and YouTube good, but they won't be real life good. And it shows in their mind when they think no one's watching what they're thinking, but God is.
Do you believe the Bible was a divine thing by God, or do you believe it was written by man?
Both.
Okay, so how do you decide which is which?
Well, when you decide that if he is a God, then he can use people to do what he wants. Just like these corporations get you to do what they want, that's how he gets them to do what he wants.
Okay, so what about what are they? Oh, the laws that he gave. Do you believe all of them are written by God or given to man by God?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What about Deuteronomy 22:13-21? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, all the laws, 614 at least.
Okay, I'm referencing a specific one right now. Deuteronomy 22:13-21. Do you know which one it is?
Yes, God did also give us that as his prophetic word.
You obviously have no clue what I am talking about. Would you like me to explain it?
I don't think I have no clue what you're talking about, but yeah, you can explain it.
Deuteronomy 22:13-21 is talking about stoning women who do not bleed on their wedding night.
Oh, yeah, that would be proper.
Okay, so let me give you a little
I
information
don't
on.
know how that's some exception. Like, I literally said yes, he broke all of those laws, and you just keep pinpointing back to that one like I didn't mention that already. I think this is a waste of time. So you can continue word grappling with someone else. Have a good day.
Never seen somebody have so much trouble running.
Hey, it's Ace. Hello,
Hi,
Ace. Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Are you over 18?
Oh, yeah. When you say
Okay,
it says is your God
Hold on,
good? What does that
hold on,
mean?
hold on.
can I get your pronouns, please?
Huh?
Can I get your pronouns, please?
What's pronoun? What you mean?
Okay, so when it comes to pronouns, so let's say you're going to the store, right? When somebody
Yeah.
refers to going to the store, do they say he went to the store, she went to the store or they went to the store?
He or she. Or they can say they, if it's multiple people. What you getting at?
When they're referring to you going to the store, would they say he went to the store?
Yeah, I'm
She
a
went to the
male.
store.
I'm a he. I'm a he. I'm not a she. I'm a man.
Well, I know how this conversation is going to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Ace,
What's
real
wrong with it?
quick, Bobby Buckets
Yeah.
in the chat was being transphobic, so I went ahead and blocked him for you.
I'm finna go. You the
Thank you very
devil.
much.
Get off this live. You enemy of the Lord.
You do realize you're the one who popped up on my live, right? You do realize that, right? You didn't have to come here.
You are rebuked in the name of the Lord of heaven and earth. Get off with this nonsense now. Haba, yah, yah.
What
I
the
rebuke
hell did
you
he
in the name of the Lord Jesus.
Hi, Alex. Are you over 18?
Yes, I'm 22.
We're
Oh,
not gonna
make
do
Okay.
the. Yeah, no.
I just wanted to put a face to what I was gonna say.
Well, we can see a face in the picture.
Oh yeah, okay.
Can I get your pronouns, please?
Sure, let's go yin yang.
Cool. Okay, Ying, are you a believer of a god?
I'm a knower. But I wonder, what's the definition for God so we can agree?
Well, considering it's whatever you believe your god is.
But yeah, I mean, I can have my perception of what God is, but what's our agreed upon perception? What do you think God is?
We're running based off of yours, not based off of mine.
Oh, well then I think God is just me and everything
Oh,
else.
you think you're your own god?
Yeah, I think we're all mirrors for the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hang on. Spicoli, you can come up next.
Give me 1 second.
I
I'm
know
doing
you
pretty
were
well.
friendly, Spicoli, but John, are you over 18?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Very respectful. Can I get your pronouns, please?
I beg your pardon?
Can I get your pronouns, please?
He, him is fine.
Thank you so much. And are you a believer of a god?
Yes. And the Christian God.
Okay. The Christian God, thank you very much. And do you believe your God is all good?
Yes.
Okay. Um, would you like to explain why?
Yes, because he would be the source of goodness and um everything else outside of his will and what he produces would be a privation of his goodness, and so therefore it would be evil.
Do you believe the Bible was strictly written by, like, a mix of written by man and some divine intervention by God, or do you believe it was all written by God?
Um it was written through men through divine intervention.
Okay. Do you know Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21?
And not off the top of my head.
It's about women being stoned if they don't bleed on their wedding night.
Okay.
Does that help?
Can you give me a little bit of context behind that?
Absolutely. So, if a man goes into a woman that he is married to, has just been gotten married to,
Mm-hmm.
and he dislikes her, he
Mm-hmm.
is allowed to. He can say, "Well, when I went into her, she didn't bleed. She wasn't a virgin." Okay. So then the mother and the father of the girl goes to get the sheet that they did it on and present it to the council. If there was blood on it, then the man was fined 100 shekels for slandering a virgin's name and must remain married to her for the rest of his life. But if there was no blood on it, then the woman was to be taken to in front of her father's house and stoned to unalivement because it was said that she had whored herself out in her father's house.
Okay. And what's the
What's the issue with
contention?
it?
Yeah.
Less than 50% of women bleed their first time. Did you know that?
Okay, so
So that would mean that more than 50% of women that could have potentially been stoned because they didn't bleed on their wedding night were innocent. Are you okay with stoning innocent women just because they don't bleed on their wedding night?
well, we're still negating on how they would know that they are innocent because can you give me again the scripture so I can look it up?
Deuteronomy 22, 13 through 21.
13 through 21.
Mm-hmm.
So Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 21.
Deuteronomy 22, verses 13 through 21.
22, verses 13 through 21. Well, this has to do with immorality, correct? With
They
sexual immorality?
see, but the thing is, how do they test if she was a virgin or not? Because
Huh?
I have some scientific information as to the reason why their testing is so fucked up.
And what would you base it on?
First of all, I didn't bleed on my wedding night. I've been married.
That's cool.
I would have been stoned back then.
That's cool. I
So,
didn't ask you for your um for what you had to say. I asked for how do you base this on your contentions?
how do I base this on my contentions? Explain what you mean.
Like if you're saying something's wrong with it, how do you know that something's wrong with it?
Put yourself in the person's shoes.
That's a
Would you like it
fallacy.
to happen? Would you like it to happen to you? You asked me for how I ground my morality. In other words,
I didn't ask you how you ground your morality.
you asked what was wrong with it.
No, I asked you how you know it's true.
It's in your book.
Okay, so is everything in this book from that passage then therefore false?
It is in your book, right?
Yeah, so if
You said, and I quote, the
mhm,
book is the divine word from God, right?
mhm,
Israelites were God's people, right?
mhm,
Right?
they were.
Okay. Good to know. Now, with all of this being stated, it is in your book that women who do not bleed on their wedding night is to be stoned, right?
If you take a wife and go into
Tea and water.
Yeah, I don't see anything here where there's any kind of form of contradiction.
I didn't say there was a contradiction. I just asked.
Well, I mean,
I,
if I grant you your points,
what were my points
I
exactly?
don't. If she doesn't bleed on her wedding night, then therefore she should be stoned.
That is said in that text, yes.
Yeah, but did you read everything, or did you just read your passage that you want to confirm your
Is there another passage that denies this current one that is being referenced?
Well, it doesn't matter about that. What I'm saying is, did you read the full passage, and are you at full understanding of what of what these laws are for?
Okay. First of all,
Like,
it says sexual
I don't
morality.
see how these pertain to people today.
So, does your God change?
No,
So, what he wanted back then is still what he wants today, right?
according to what?
Well, never changing means that what he wanted back then, what you said was his divine word back then, would still be true to this day, right?
Not necessarily. No,
So why would you need the book then?
that doesn't make any sense.
If what he didn't want back then doesn't still apply to now.
Well, I'm asking you, like, do you know what the criteria is for this? That's what I've been asking you.
Did she bleed on her wedding night or not?
I didn't ask you if she fled on her wedding night. I asked you what's the criteria for these laws in Deuteronomy.
They were given to Moses to keep the people of Israelites in check.
Okay. Does that apply to us today?
Does it matter if it applies to us today or not?
Yes.
How?
Because don't you know that within scripture that the old law has been fulfilled?
No, what it actually says, because I know exactly which verses you're referring to, and if you continue reading it, like you keep claiming context.
You
If
haven't
you
given me
consider-
any
continue-
context.
If you continue reading it, I did. I gave you the whole context of it. But
You
if you
gave me the
continue
context
reading
of this
that,
passage.
let me finish. Okay? In that context of that one verse you brought up, it says, not one letter of the law shall pass until not one stroke of a letter shall pass until the heavens and the earth pass. Has the heaven and the earth passed away yet?
Where does it say that?
Okay, give me 1 second. Because I know what the quote is, I don't remember exactly which verse it is. So you're going to have to give me a second to get to it.
You're fine.
Back up. You're not getting my fries.
It would be Matthew 5, 17, 18.
Matthew 5:17 through 19, indeed.
Oh, so now we're jumping to the New Testament where the law has been fulfilled.
No.
That's a category
See?
error.
Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophet. I have not come to abolish, but to fulfill.
Which law?
For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But
And what
whoever
law?
does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
What law?
The law. The
What
law
is
they gave
the
in
law?
the Old Testament. The law that they gave in the Old Testament.
So is the law that they gave in the Old Testament different than the laws that they gave in the New Testament?
No, because he came to fulfill them, not abolish them, meaning he came to follow the laws.
Oh, fulfill! That's almost like the word I use. Actually, it is identical to the word that I use.
Did you hear the rest of it, or are you just hanging on to the fulfill part? Because do you know what fulfill means?
I don't know. Can you please tell me?
Hang on a second.
Yeah, it's funny. I have no idea what that word means. Fulfill.
Obviously not, because it literally means to carry out. There's a difference between abolish and fulfill.
Yeah.
That means he is here to carry out the laws, not to abolish them. Which means the Old Testament is still in place.
According to who?
According to your book.
That doesn't say anything, though. You understand that, right?
How does it not? Because I literally just brought up.
How did you come to this
These
contention, guys?
You quite literally brought up this verse without finishing
I
the
didn't
verse
bring up a
because you wanted
verse. I didn't bring up any verses. You're the one that brought up
Bullshit.
verses. What
Because
verse
you
did I
said he
bring
came
up?
to fulfill-
What verse did I bring up?
Hey, John, if you would shut the fuck up and listen, you would know what I'm saying.
You're so kind.
I know, right? Anyways, you literally said he did not come to. You said he came to fulfill the laws, which is a verse that is referenced in this book, and I knew exactly which verse was referenced. So I came to read the context to you before you tried to say, oh, but all the Old Testament laws have passed away now because Jesus died for our sins, which is another thing y'all like doing regularly. So,
Okay, so according to the dictionary to Webster, fulfillment is to achieve something desired, promised, or protected. So that goes against your definition of it.
funny, because what do you think I used?
I have no idea. You never claimed it.
I used. Which one did I use? Hang on. Dictionary.com is the one I used.
So would you agree with me that for the word fulfillment means to achieve something that has been declared?
Fulfill, I quite literally just told you, means to carry out or bring to realization. To perform or do as duty, obey or follow as commands.
Okay. Oh, so you're just going with fulfill. I put fulfillment. Sorry, I like to use the
But
full
that's not the
words.
words he used. He
But no,
quite
I just
literally,
like to use the full words. Sorry.
he used fulfill, not fulfillment. In your book, he used fulfill, not fulfillment.
Let's see. Bring to completion or reality. Achieve or realize something that has been desired, promised, or predictated. So this is, or to carry out a task or duty. So this is something that has to do with like where
Okay.
something has been done with, right?
So, question. You stopped at a stop sign. You fulfilled stopping at the stop sign, right?
No. No,
So
you
you
don't
didn't
stop at
perform
the stop sign and fulfill the stop. You stop as in the action of making the stop to fulfill that.
to fulfill literally means to perform or do as duty, obey or follow as commands.
Yeah, for the
Is
act.
stop sign not technically a command?
Yeah, for the act, right?
The act of following the law.
Okay. In order to do that, there would be a fulfillment or a completion.
That one's here. Oh, hang on, Kylie. I'm going to mute you and I'll speak to you in a minute. Oh, all of them keep showing up. Okay. To the other two up on the panel, stay muted until I'm done with the conversation I'm in. JD, are you over 18?
Yes, I am over 18.
Can I get your pronouns, please?
I'm a male.
That is not a pronoun. Do you know what pronouns are?
I'm a man. I mean,
Do you know what pronouns are?
in what sense are you using it? Hold on. Now I'm gonna have to Google things.
Would you
What
like me to
pronouns do
explain
you
it?
Are we doing
use?
the whole they them thing and all that stuff? Like, did not God create like man and woman? So like, you're asking me what I am. I'm a man, right?
We're asking
That's
for your
not a pronoun.
pronouns.
When somebody says you've went to the store, do they say he went to the store, she went to the store, or they went to the store?
So I guess I'd be a he, right?
That would be correct.
If that's what you identify as, yes.
All right. So
Are you
God made me a
able?
man.
you're going to be a very annoying conversation. I'm not dealing with that. Hi, Kylie. You can unmute if you have the moment.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Are you over 18?
I am. I'm a whole 29.
Awesome. Can I get your pronouns, please?
Yes, mine are she, her.
Hang on. Quick announcement. See how easy that was last guess? You weren't fitting to cook anybody. You didn't even know what pronouns were. Sorry,
That's
Kylie.
literally
That's
two
okay.
words. Like I never understand why that's such a hard question.
Everybody, get a round of applause to Kylie, please.
Thanks.
We've been having a trip for a minute.
Mhm.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh.
You're good.
Are you a believer of a God?
Yes, I am Catholic specifically.
Well, thank you. You had both questions ready to be answered at the same time. I love it. Come here, pups. I'll give you a fry. There, here's your fry. Don't make me hand it to you. You made me hand it to you. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm puppy sitting. What was I asking? Oh, do you believe your God's all good?
Yeah, so as Catholics, our theology says that like goodness isn't an attribute of God. That is what God is in a literal sense. And so that would also mean that God is justice, God is mercy, God is joy, God is peace, God is everything that's good. God is goodness itself.
Okay. How much of the Bible have you read?
I've read most of it. Like I have never read it cover to cover, but I've done a lot of like translating it into like the original Greek and the original Latin and the original Hebrew, and then doing a lot of like cross-referencing. So like basically just trying to like absorb the like continuity of the Bible and see like when Paul is talking about like marriage in Ephesians. And then like Christ's relationship with humanity and then Adam and Eve's relationship. Like I try to see that in full continuity because that's love. And ultimately we think that's what God's greatest identity is being love.
Okay. So, do you think the whole Bible was given to man by God?
Yeah, I think it's all like divinely inspired by God.
So, I'm going to bring up a specific set of verses, okay?
Sure.
Do you know Deuteronomy 22:13-21?
Yeah, I know it has to do with like virginity or something.
So, as a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the percentage of women who don't bleed their first time?
Sure. I can't remember what that verse says exactly, but I mean, it's not like a standard prescription for like what you're supposed to be doing today. But no, I would imagine most women don't bleed. I remember that was not my experience, but
I didn't bleed my first time either. Less than 50% of women bleed on their first time. So in Deuteronomy 22:13-21, I don't have it memorized word for word, but I think I have a pretty good understanding of what this one is because, for one, I brought it up to every guest today because that's the verse I'm focused on today until I get an actual answer for it as to whether or not it was a good passage to have in there. So, it talks about if a man goes into a woman and he dislikes her. A man goes into a woman he had just married and he dislikes her. He can go to the council and claim she was not a virgin when he went in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? With this being said, the mother and father would go and collect the blanket or the sheet that they laid on and bring it to the council, and if there was blood on it, proving she was a virgin at the time of penetration,
Uh-huh.
that he was to pay the father 100 shekels for slandering a virgin of Israel's name, and that he would have to remain married to her for the rest of his life.
Uh-huh.
If it was not found that there was blood on the sheet because of whatever reason, not necessarily because she wasn't a virgin, because as we know, less than 50% of women don't bleed less than 50% of women bleed their first time due to the hymen being a muscle and it breaking so easily that it's not even funny. Especially back in that time period, if you think about it, they were lifting heavy pails of water which could easily break a hymen.
Mm-hmm.
If there was not blood on it, she was taken in front of her father's house and stoned to unalivement because it was thought that she had poured herself out while she was in her father's house.
Uh-huh. So the first thing that I want to say is the reason why they stoned people for its porneia, which is unlawful sex. Jesus talks about it too. And a lot of people actually like misinterpret that verse. So they think that Jesus is saying when he's talking about divorce, he's like, because of the hardness of your hearts, Moses allowed for divorce. But then he goes on to talk about like the actual Greek is porneia. But he talks about how like the only time which a couple can separate is because of unlawful sex. And that's like, people interpret that as cheating. It's not about cheating. It's if you're married and you're living together and you're having sex, then it would be lawful to separate. But divorce is wrong. It's a sin. You're not supposed to get a divorce. You can have an annulment, which is completely different. So an annulment would be saying that
I didn't bring up anywhere
sure,
in
I'll circle back
passage
to Deuteronomy. But so an annulment would be like something happened beforehand, meaning you never really knew this person. You can consent to the marriage, so therefore it's annulled. But as far as Deuteronomy goes and why they stoned people for porneia, it's because there's no means of redemption for people. And so porneia was like the degradant of society. And like we would still say that as Catholics today. Like we would look at the sex industry and we would consider that to be the degradant of society. Like it completely like uproots value from human beings. Like it just like degrades people of their dignity. JP2 has this really good quote that when you're observing porn, the problem isn't that you're seeing too much of the person, you're seeing too little. It turns people into objects rather than creatures made in the image and likeness of God. But as far as the stoning goes, it was because there was no redemption. There was no crucifixion for these people. So these people had to be cast out of society by death because the wages of sin were death. And reason being is because, there was no redemption. They were degradants to society, and it was to preserve the dignity of society. But obviously, like the whole test is wrong. I think a lot of Jewish traditions came out of that verse that were the life is in the blood. And so they kind of based a lot of their rituals around that, not knowing that it was prophetic of the Eucharist. But so obviously, no, we don't agree with that. But I would imagine it's from the life is in the blood prophecy. That's also why Jewish women were not allowed to pray when they were on their period because they were ritually unclean. So whenever you were bleeding, it was your life leaving you. And so we think that sin is death. And so they were ritually unclean. And so they couldn't pray because they were like in a state of sin. I don't know if that makes sense to you. But that's why it's really like a prophecy of the Eucharist. But like, so they have a lot of weird laws around blood in the Old Testament, but it's because of them misconstruing this prophecy.
So do you think that this particularly was a law written by man, or do you think it was given to man by God?
I think that, like I was saying, I think it's all divinely inspired, but I don't think that it's like the full revelation of who God is. Like, I think, like I was saying, like, I think that they were doing that because they had that prophecy. I can't remember where it is. I don't want to misquote where it is, but I know it's in the Old Testament. But like I said, I think it's all divinely inspired, but no, I do not think it is all like God's law. I think whenever Jesus came, Jesus refined the law, and Jesus is the full revelation of who God is.
Hang on. Brett, say some words. I'm trying to eat.
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't fully listening because I was having a mod.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I can just fill the empty air if nothing else.
So when it comes to the fulfillment, you do realize it wasn't until Paul said something that it was quote unquote fulfilled. Jesus straight up said that in Matthew 5, 6, no,
17 through
hang on.
19.
Thank you. Brett knew where I was going with it. Matthew 5, 17 through 19, Jesus straight up says that not one stroke of the letter of the law shall be passed until the heaven and the earth pass. He came to fulfill, which means to follow the laws. He did not come to abolish them,
Sure.
which would mean that even during that time period, Jesus was saying the laws still hold.
But so Jesus, there's things that change when Jesus comes into being. So like what you were talking about when heaven and earth come to pass, that hasn't even come to be. That's judgment day when there's a new heaven and a new earth. But so Jesus laid the groundwork. Like Jesus has redeemed humanity, but is humanity's like ability to participate in redemption. Like redemption isn't fully, like Jesus is considered the mediator between man and heaven because Jesus entered into death. Jesus bridged the gap from divinity to humanity back. But you wouldn't like refer to like God Father or the Holy Spirit that way, just Jesus, because Jesus was the one that entered into death. But I forgot where I was going with this. But no, so you don't have to follow everything that's in the Old Testament. Like as far as like keeping kosher, so they kept kosher because there were societies which were like worshiping like pigs and like that kind of thing. And so that's why they kept kosher. Like to be holy, like the literal translation of that is to be set apart. And so Israel was set apart from these societies which were participating in idolatry. But we no longer keep kosher because that is no longer like a problem at hand. Like there aren't societies who are worshiping pigs, so we don't keep kosher anymore. And Jesus says, and we know that we don't have to keep kosher anymore because Jesus said, it is not what you put into your body, but what comes out of your body, which defiles it. I think it's your mouth specifically. So Jesus is talking about how like if you speak ill of people, that will defile you. But like what you eat is not going to defile you.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
Does that mean we can throw out all the laws in the Old Testament?
No. No.
So
That's
how
not
do
what
we
it is.
decide which laws we keep and which ones we don't?
I mean, it's through Jesus. Like, so like I was saying, like all those like laws that they had, like all those regulations around blood, like none of those, like I said, they're divinely inspired. Like they had this revelation from God and they made what they could of it, but not all of it was right. Like women can pray when they're on their period. Women, I mean, even today, like women, you don't have to be a virgin to get married anymore. You used to have to be a virgin because if you weren't a virgin, then, and like you, not including women who had been abused, but like if you weren't, then you were a degradant of society and like the wages of sin were death. Like it was right that man or woman who did that were put to death. That was correct in the Old Testament because there was no redemption for people. Like they had no means of redeeming you. You were a degradant. And that doesn't mean that that's like not harsh and that's not brutal. It is, but like that's what Jesus is. Jesus is the full revelation of God. Jesus is mercy. And that's like why you can be redeemed of these things now.
So it's a pick and choose?
No, it's like, I mean, I'm trying to think. So like the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments you have to hold true to because Jesus said, like, he is the law of Moses. He is the 10 Commandments. But like the things that were like like I said, man-made, that weren't like strict commands of God, then yeah, those things aren't like necessarily true. They're just people doing their best. Like the Old Testament, the best way to perceive the Old Testament is to perceive it as a history book. Like, yes, there's prophecy in there, but there's also people like going off the rails, trying to meet God, but they can't quite get there because God has not entered into history yet.
So some of the book was man-made then.
All divinely inspired, but yes, not everything in the Old Testament is perfect. No,
Okay, so
and God is perfect.
So anything that isn't perfect isn't written by God, it's written by man.
Well, the whole thing is written by man, but it's all divinely inspired.
Okay, so with the words you're saying, there's a contradiction in this, okay? Because you just said that some of it was written by man. And then you said it was all divinely inspired.
Right,
But
yeah.
that if it's not showing of the perfect God, then it wasn't written by God, it was written by man.
Well, none of it's written by God. It's all written by man, but it's all divinely inspired. Not all of it is perfect. There are things that are perfect in it, but no, not all of it is perfect.
So does that mean that God isn't perfect, or that
No,
man
man's not
just
perfect.
misinterpreted?
Yes, that is correct. It means man misinterpreted because like I was talking about, like life is in the blood. That was not saying that like women, like whenever they're bleeding, or anyone that was bleeding for that matter, it was anybody. But when you were bleeding, that didn't mean that your life was literally leaving you and that was death, and therefore you would come into contact with sin so you couldn't pray. That was not the case. That is a misinterpretation of God. So like I said, divinely inspired, but not always correct. That is the nature of humanity.
So, how do you know which is which? Which one is written by man and which one is divinely inspired?
So that would actually be why you're Catholic, because so Jesus gives Peter the keys. That's the authority. Like if you go back to the actual Greek, it's the authority to interpret scripture. So you you can be like all these different denominations, but the word Trinity, they didn't even coin that term until I think like it was at least 300 years after Christ. Like the Trinity is explained in the Bible, but the word Trinity is not in the Bible. That is a Catholic interpretation of scripture. That is a Catholic dogma. The Trinity is Catholic dogma. Hypostatic union is Catholic dogma. Like you as a Christian, like you can't just like read it and think that like you have the authority to interpret it. You don't. The Catholic Church has the authority to interpret it. And being a Christian,
hang on. You said the Catholic Church has the authority to interpret
Yes.
it, but isn't that just an interpretation by man then?
No, the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church is like the head of the body, the mystical body of Christ. The mystical body of Christ is Christian. But the Catholic Church has the authority to interpret it. And like, if you think that the Catholic Church doesn't have the authority to interpret it, then you're disagreeing with Jesus when Jesus said that he was going to have a church and the gates of hell wouldn't prevail against it. If the Catholic Church were to be wrong about something, that would mean that the gates of hell prevailed against church and that the whole thing wasn't true.
Do I follow you?
I don't know, maybe.
No, but I'm going to, because out of all the guests I've had today, I will say you are by far the best one I've had all week.
Well, thanks. That's nice.
And I do have a couple more guests that want to maybe come up, so I would like to have like an actual conversation with you.
Sure, I would love that.
Where I can have some more friendlies up so we can ask you some questions.
Sure, yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, well, we'll be live again on Monday around 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay.
And
I'll follow you too.
Okay, and I think on Monday, for as long as you as long as you can, I'm just gonna have you up so that way we can ask some questions. And anybody who wants to ask questions can.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming up.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been good.
Absolutely. I want everybody to give a W in the chat for this guest before I drop her.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming up, Kylie.
Yeah, of course. Have a
Connection right now.
Yep. Okay. Hi.
There you are.
Uh, I got to go to work, but I just want to say hello to Ace and Brett. Thank you.
Hello,
Later.
Shadow. Have a good day at work.
Have a good day at work, Shadow.
Hello, guys. What?
Hi,
Hi.
Theist.
Yes,
Let me
Thais.
ask a Tyus? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you for correcting me. Are you over 18?
Yes. 27.
And can I get your pronouns, please?
Christian.
I said pronouns.
What does that mean? Sorry.
Okay, so let's say you went to the store, right? When if somebody says that you went to the store, do they say he went to the store, she went to the store, or they went to the store?
Okay. I'm a he.
Thank you very much. And you've told me you were a Christian.
Christian.
Now, with all this being said, do you believe your God is good?
I believe that Christ Jesus, he's very good, and loving, and kind.
So you're specifically a New Testament person?
No, I love the Old Testament and the New Testament as a perfect orchestra of God's plan. From he already knew the end before the beginning, before he started, and
So he knows everything that's going to happen in the world, right?
yes. In other words, God is the same one from yesterday, today, and forever. The one who was, is, and shall come. The Word became
Okay.
flesh. Yeah.
Okay, so now I have a couple questions for you. Is the Bible divinely inspired by God?
Yes. Very much
Okay.
indeed. Yeah. Of course.
So
Yeah. Not.
how much of
Not by man. It is not from mankind. It's from God directly. The most powerful book ever written.
well, agree to disagree. So everything in that book is divinely inspired by God.
Of course, they have tried to have a right translation of it, but I think due to the translations of the word and the Bible, then mostly 10% of the Bible is distorted. Otherwise, the last 90% is correct. Yeah.
Okay. Deuteronomy 22:13-21. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, tell me the verse. I'll just read it.
I'm not going to read it. I can tell you the context of it. I'm not pulling it up again. I've brought this one up multiple times today, so I have more knowledge. It's wild. Anyways, it's about stoning a woman who doesn't bleed on her wedding night. In general, if you want me to give a fuller rundown of it, I can. Do you want a fuller rundown of it?
No. It's fine. If you want to share it with me, go for it. But
Okay, so how much information do you know about women's anatomy?
I don't know much. But tell me.
Do you know what a hymen is?
No.
Do you know what pop the cherry means?
No.
Okay, let me give you some education. A hymen. Sorry, I was rubbing my eyes. That wasn't meant to sound like that. A hymen is a small muscle that is inside of a woman in their vaginal region. Okay? When it pops, if they have it, some women are born without it. If it pops, it bleeds. Okay? Hence the term pop the cherry.
Right.
You following me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you know how easy it is to break a hymen? Probably not, considering you didn't even know what a hymen is. Rhetorical question. A hymen can be broken in many ways. Riding a horse, riding a donkey, riding a bike, carrying heavy things, falling down the stairs. It is a muscle that is very easy to break. Now, all this being said, he is teacupping. I'll wait for him to come back. You back?
Yes. I'm actually just waiting for you to share what I'm actually a type of missionary, and I'm here to share. It's also a pilgrimage. God, He showed me something, and I'm excited to share this with you. And
Yeah. Are you coming with me? You seem to be following me anyways.
Hello,
Hi, new guy.
Adham. Are you 18 plus?
Yes, brother. How are you? Assalamu alaikum. I'm 42 years old, Muslim man.
All
Oh,
right. And
another.
what are your pronouns?
I'm a he, sir.
Very nice. And you believe in a God? I'm assuming with that introduction, it is the Islamic God.
One God. Just one God, sir.
That would be
Please
the
be
Islamic
upon,
God.
please be
Yes.
upon Muhammad.
Allah. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Yes, peace be on the Prophet Muhammad. Yes, for sure.
Police be upon Muhammad.
Police, no. Police will follow people like you, my friend. Peace.
No,
Peace.
police.
Ali, because Muhammad was a PDF.
Excellent, excellent sentence. Okay, are you a Christian, man?
No,
You're an atheist.
no,
What are you then?
I'm a polytheist.
Shia? What's a polytheist? Can you teach me, please?
Polytheism means believing in multiple deities. Now,
Let me ask you a question as a lady. Let me ask you a question as a lady. When you go in your kitchen, okay? I'm a cooker and you are a cooker, okay? And we like, we women, we want to cook. So too much cookers, what's gonna happen with the cook? It's gonna burn, right?
I know you are not starting down this path.
Ma'am, I'm just talking to you common sense. Common sense.
Fred,
Don't lie to yourself. Listen to me, sister. Don't lie to yourself. All these friends, they will not be there.
Hold on one
Fred,
second.
you're dealing with this one.
Yeah, no, I really didn't like the way he started that.
Yo, can you shut the fuck up, boy? Let me talk to her.
Don't.
Shut the fuck up, motherfucker.
Hi, Cole. Are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 23.
Can I get your... Nice. Can I get your pronouns, please?
Just he, him. I don't go by any pronouns, but yeah.
Okay. And you're a believer of a God, correct?
Yes. Also, before we start, I would like to apologize to you for any people that call themselves Christians that have been on here and saying things to you that could be hurtful and not loving before we start. I don't believe that is true Christianity, so just would love to take that moment and apologize if anybody's offended you.
If you stick around long enough, you can hear some of the conversations that have came across my specific page.
No, yeah, 100%. So what is the basis of, obviously I see, is your God good, but you said you had like preliminary questions.
Yeah, we've gotten through the preliminary questions, just like age, or if you're over 18, pronouns, and if you're a believer of a God. If so, which God? Which?
Yeah, so I'm a Christian, so Jesus. I believe Jesus is God.
Okay. And do you have like a preference in the book as to like where you pull from, like the old or the new, or do you pull from both?
The Bible. I see Jesus being God in Old Testament and New Testament.
Okay. Now, do you believe the whole word is divinely inspired?
Yes.
Okay. Now that we've gotten through all of that, do you believe your God is all good?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I need an explanation for a couple of verses, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Deuteronomy 22, 13 through 21.
Yeah, let me open up to it. Just so that we're on the same thing. What version are you reading from?
I use the NRSVUE.
What does that stand for?
New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. It is the most accurate to date on translation.
Okay, and you said what chapter and verse?
Deuteronomy 22, 13 through 21.
Deuteronomy, you said 22, 13 through 21.
Yes.
All right, yep.
Suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, dislikes her and make up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. The father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity, and shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. And now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. The elders of that town shall take that man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he has slandered a virgin of Israel. She shall remain his wife, but he shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. If, however, this charge is true, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house, so you shall purge the evil from your midst.
Okay.
Now, how much do you know about the women's anatomy?
And I would say whatever I learned in anatomy in high school, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert in it, so we will see what your question is.
Do you know what a hymen is?
Heard of it. I wouldn't be able to explain to you exactly what that would be.
Do you know what pop the cherry means?
I do.
Okay. So, in reference to pop the cherry, that is also the thing for popping the hymen, which
Okay.
the hymen doesn't pop; it's a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So in that verse, how does it say they prove that woman's a virgin?
Let's see. Well, obviously it's what you read. So if you read that verse again, that exact verse.
The laying out the sheet.
Okay.
And if there was blood on it, then it showed that she was still a virgin. But if there wasn't, it showed that she, quote unquote, was not a virgin. And the reason why I say quote unquote, do you know how many women bleed their first time?
No, what is the percentage? I'm sure it's pretty high.
Less than.
Oh, it's less.
It's less than 50% of women bleed their first time.
All right, I trust you on that.
Shocker. Hey, Brett, there's a first time for everything. So
Yeah,
do you know how
my eyes just went like full wide. That was crazy.
I mean, I don't know anything about it, and I trust that you're not going to lie to me.
Respect.
very, very much respect for that. So can I give you some examples as to how easy it is for the hymen to break?
Hello?
Yeah. Sorry, you were
Oh,
on teacup, so none of us could hear you.
oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh,
You're
can you
good.
repeat that? I don't know if you said anything. I couldn't hear anything. It's my fault.
You're good. Do you know how easy it is? Do you want me to give you some examples as to how easy it is for the hymen to break?
You don't have to. I mean, I trust that whatever you. I mean, I don't know. It depends. Do you believe it's that relevant to the conversation?
I mean, it gives perspective.
Okay, then go ahead.
That's So the hymen can be broken by like falling down the stairs, lifting something heavy. So like back in those times, women had to carry heavy buckets of water, right?
Right.
So a hymen could break doing that, riding a horse,
Kind of
riding a
like a
donkey,
hernia.
basically.
Gotcha.
But it's very easy for it to break.
Okay.
So if a man disliked her and she did not bleed on her wedding night, she would be stoned for it, whether she was a virgin or not, because their only test was if she bled on her wedding night or not.
Okay.
Now, with that in mind, does that sound like a good rule to have?
I would have to trust that it's divine due to the fact, hear me out, that then, and as we can see in ancient Jewish texts, we can see in the Talmud, anything pretty much ancient rabbi written or Jewish written, we can see that the ancient Jewish people are extremely perverted, correct? Do we see extreme perversion within historically Jewish culture? Whether it's marrying extremely young or like you just read out that rule.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So a lot of the old law is preventative measures based on the fact that we can use the perversion, for example. None of this would have had to be in place if there was no perversion, meaning God had to wipe out certain cities due to the fact that they weren't following law. If you look at it as a standpoint, as a lot of these laws are preventative measures, because if things weren't put in place, things would get out of hand. And that is why in the New Testament, in chapter 4, there's a woman who is giving herself away to many men, and the man she's with at that time is not her husband. And the religious leaders, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, say, let's stone her to death. Jesus walks in. He looks at them, you who have not sinned, cast the first stone. They all drop their stones and walk away. Jesus looks at the woman. Today, he forgives her of her sins and then tells her to go and sin no more. So we see the loving and the just version of God there. And if Jesus is God, that is him there fulfilling that law. So Jesus came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it so that we don't have to abide by the old law to make it to heaven.
See, but the old laws are still in place. Because if you continue with that section, because it is, I know exactly where you're talking about, because I had a conversation with somebody earlier who kept spiraling. It says that not one stroke of the letter of the law shall pass until heaven and earth pass away. And then it also continues to say that you shall teach even the least of my commandments.
Well, to show love to God, it's a moral code.
But the thing is, back in that time period, because we may not stone people who have who don't bleed on their wedding night now.
Correct.
But back then, as I said, there was plenty of women who could have potentially been innocent that still was stoned.
Okay.
Right?
Right. 100%.
Do you think it's right to punish somebody for not bleeding their first time?
So I'm not God. Let me just preface that. And I want to stay on course 100%. And so in that passage, long passage that you read, and I will commend you. I haven't read this passage before. So this is new to me. So I don't want to, say anything that would without fully knowing, but I also don't want to take a conversation away from you. So what is it in this passage where the direct words from God? What is the rule directly from God, not from man?
Well, considering the fact that it was written in the first 5 books of the Old Testament, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first 5 books are known as the Torah, also known as the law given by God, right?
Okay, yes, but in this passage, where is the law giving directly from God and not from the religious leaders?
Okay, question.
Yes.
Because I've heard that one. So you think this could have been given by religious leaders instead of by God?
Well, I haven't read this passage before, so I don't want to say it wasn't given by God if it was, but I don't believe it was. I believe this is a law from man.
It's a law from man? You think it's a law from man?
Yeah, I'm just scanning over it again because this is something I have not read before. But yeah, I'm not seeing where God has given the law. If I'm wrong, correct me.
I don't know fully because I, again, believe the whole book was man-made.
Okay, well, yes, but I don't see in this passage where this is a law given directly from the mouth of God, rather than a preventative measure from man, which given from man would definitely be a really weird way to handle things, which we see a lot from any law from man is not, fully divine, which is why Jesus came to fulfill the law of the Old Testament.
So I have another question for you.
Okay.
If there's a possibility that this was given, that this law that was written in the book was given by man, how likely would it be that there's more laws given by man?
Well, you can even look at that in the book of Judges. I mean, there's kings, there's elders, there's people that lead. I mean, we see the words that they give. We see that there's laws, but we also see that in the New Testament, that's why God had to manifest himself into man to die for the sins of the old and for the future and for the sins of that time, so that all men, if they gave their hope to Jesus, could be saved.
So how do we know in the book what is given by what is a thing written by man versus what is given divinely inspired by God?
Repeat that one more time. I don't want to get your question wrong.
You're good. So how can we tell what is given by man versus what divinely given by God?
It would be so in the Old Testament, laws given by God, if followed correctly, could get you, keyword could, because it was a scale, right? It was a scale of right and wrong. If you were to follow the law correctly, then your good would outweigh your bad. And so if it was law that could get you to heaven or get you in right standing with the Father, then that would be from God.
Okay. So if it was good, then you think it was given by God. But if it wasn't good, it was given by man.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that man can weigh the judgment of God or understand the righteous judgment of God, because yes, God is all loving, but all loving, right? There's lots of avenues that can come from love. There's justice, there is mercy, there's grace, there's forgiveness. There's lots of ways God shows his love. Now, whether or not this was a preventative measure to keep from certain things at that time from going too far, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Here's what I can do, because I really respect your questions, okay? Like, I think what you're doing is awesome. If you would give, like I said, I've never read this passage, and it's very intriguing. How often do you do these lives?
My next live will be on Monday.
I would love to take the next few days to really look at this because I don't want to give you an answer that's not correct.
Okay.
Now,
You want-
if there's any other points that you would like to talk about, and I don't want and I give my word, if I am free, I would love to come in here. I will actually drop a follow so I don't miss it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't want to be like everybody else and give a wrong answer. You know what I mean?
Of course. So we'll do this a little at a time, and I'll let you do research on that one question before I bring up the next passage I have. So when you come back in on maybe Monday, then I'll have another set of questions I would like to ask.
Do you have any? Because mind you, I've never read that verse, but I am a Christian apologist. I go around, so I specifically speak with Muslim imams. I go to mosques. I sit down in their offices. I speak to Muslim imams, Jehovah's Witnesses. Those are the people that I speak to mostly. Would you want to talk about Jesus being God?
Not in this live.
Okay.
But if you would like to message me, we can have a conversation.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still reading through this. I mean, I would say my stance right now would be that any law given by God is good. Any law given by man is the reason this world is corrupt.
Okay. Do more research onto this passage and then come back Monday. I will see you then, okay?
Alrighty.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, so my argument does have 4 premises. However, the first premise is going to be a definition, if that's all right.
I am not good with debate terms, but you go for it, man.
You're good. Just basically, I'll read you a premise. If you disagree, you can explain why you disagree. We can have a bit of back and forth. Hopefully, we'll figure it out, right?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So premise 1, a con man is defined as someone who uses deception, fraudulent claims, or supernatural pretenses to trick people into giving them money for services or goods that do not exist. Would you agree or disagree with the definition?
I completely disagree. Not with the definition.
What would you prefer?
Not with the definition. I agree with the definition. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, premise 2. Prior to founding Mormonism, Joseph Smith engaged in treasure digging or money digging, charging clients money to find buried treasure using a seer stone that was placed in a hat. Do you agree or disagree with premise 2?
I agree, but it's a red herring. But continue.
Wait, how is it a red herring?
Because someone has a background in treasure digging does not make them a con man, and it doesn't mean that they're gonna. I don't know. To me, it doesn't even seem related, but I know it comes up.
Okay. Premise 3. Joseph Smith never successfully located any treasure for his paying clients, and in 1826 was hauled into a court in Bainbridge, New York, on charges of being a disorderly person and an imposter. This is often referred to as the glass-looking trial. This is something that people can look up right now. Very much so is a thing. Do you agree or disagree with premise 3?
Premise, it's historical fact. Yeah, I agree. That did happen.
Okay. Premise 4. Joseph Smith used the exact same method and same physical seer stone to translate, in air quotes, the golden plates into the Book of Mormon that he previously used to hunt for non-existent buried treasure. Do you agree or disagree with premise 4?
So it's kind of a half and half. We believe he used the Urim and Thummim first, and then later on he was able to use the stone that he used.
So essentially you would be agreeing, correct?
Yeah, but I just wanted to clarify. He used the Urim and Thummim first, which is, we don't really know exactly what it is, but we think they're stones in bows, so they look kind of like glasses, is what we think. But otherwise, yeah.
Okay. Well, The conclusion is therefore Joseph Smith's foundational religious claims were an extension of a documented deceptive practice designed to extract money from others under false pretenses, fitting the definition of a con man.
If we follow
Do I
all
need
that
to defend
bias,
any of these?
it's bias. It's drawing a conclusion based on a bunch of scattered evidence, based on modern and culture of the time not liking how it was done.
Well, here, let me lay it out like this, right? So, a con artist, right? He would establish a method of deception that works normally on vulnerable people, right? Joseph's method of choice was to put a hat in a stone, claim supernatural sight, claim the valuable object is hidden from the human eyes, and then he would ask for trust and/or trust and money. When the treasure hunting business became legally dangerous, again due to the 1826 trial, he pivots. He uses the exact same modus operandi, right? The same MO, but changed the product. Instead of buried Spanish silver, it was buried golden plates. Instead of the treasure being swept away by a charm, the plates were taken back by an angel, so no one else could possibly examine them. So, in all, if a man spends years charging people money to find invisible treasure using a rock in his hat, fails every time, gets taken to court for fraud, and then 3 years later claims he finds this magical book using the exact same rock within his hat, but nobody is allowed to look at it, the most rational evidence-based conclusion is that the second venture is a continuation of his first.
So that's incorrect. We have in the Book of Mormon, in the title page, multiple people who saw the plates and handled them. That's just people that do like 5 minutes of a Google search come up that and they think they've got fact, and it's just not correct.
Wait, who saw the plates?
Let's see. It's right in the opening of the Book of Mormon. If you flip like 3 pages, it has the men who signed legal affidavits. It's in the title page. No, it's past the title page. It's part of it. It's called the Introduction and Witnesses. So you have the testimony of the 3 witnesses. They are named Oliver Cowdery, David Whitmer, and Martin Harris. They saw and handled the book with an angel present. Then you have the 8 who Joseph Smith showed them the book and they were able to look at it and handle it. That was Christian Whitmer, Jacob Whitmer, Peter Whitmer Jr., John Whitmer, Hiram Page, Joseph Smith Sr., Joseph's father, Hiram Smith, his brother, and Samuel H. Smith, another of Joseph Smith's brothers. But they all signed legal affidavits that they did actually, in fact, see and handle the Book of Mormon plates.
Mormons just say that like it doesn't matter if they were real or not, but that's a new one.
No, it's okay. I totally get it because again,
but yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's just one of the reasons I'm on here. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything, but if I can clarify misinformation, I've done my job. I am happy. That's cool.
Yeah, that is interesting.
In fact,
I'm not sure. Did you ever give an actual rebuttal for why Joseph Smith totally isn't a con man? Because I seem to forget.
Okay, so the premise there that you brought up was that Joseph Smith is a con man because his previous work endeavors resulted in no treasure, correct?
Yeah, and then, he openly took money from people for the non-existent treasure hunting. And when it was found that he couldn't find this imaginary treasure, he was hauled into court and based off of fraud.
Mm-hmm. And he was not convicted. So they didn't find evidence of fraud. But basically, from what I've read, my grandfather, he got his master's degree in church history. And he said, according to the documents he studied as part of his getting his degree, was that Joseph Smith wasn't hired. He wasn't paid if he found treasure. He was hired for the services he delivered. So there's no fraud. That's why he didn't get convicted.
But he didn't deliver.
But his contract was specifically with that employer to utilize his skills, which are it was kind of iffy because he used like a rock and a divining rod, right? But they still paid him for those services. It wasn't It wasn't if you find treasure, you get paid.
Yeah, but you would still see that as like a misconception, right? Like, for instance, if I showed up at your door and I said, hey, with this magical rock in my hat, I can find you $1 million that's buried in your backyard. And you pay me, you agree, you pay me money, and I come back empty handed. There's no $1 million, but you got what you paid for, I guess. That's not a con whatsoever at all.
He didn't make that kind of promise. Basically, from the historical record, Joseph Smith's father said that he had that capability, and he even claimed it was a supernatural capability. And so the man said, okay, we're going to hire your son because we like you for treasure. And he said he's found stuff in the past. Cool, we'll hire him to help us with that. But they didn't find anything.
So, was he being honest?
Yeah, he
Because
let
if
him know
I tell
completely.
you I have this magical power and I can't deliver when I supposedly possess this power, how would you not view that as, he might be pulling my chain?
I get that, except for the fact that they were very upfront about it. That's why he didn't get convicted. They were totally upfront about it.
Yeah, but there are plenty of people that have gone and pulled con jobs and they were very upfront with the people. Like, that doesn't make them any less con artists. Like, they're still very much so labeled as a con man. Just because they were quote unquote upfront doesn't make them any less, against the, going against the law.
I get it, but the law did not find him, accountable after a legal investigation. So it kind of falls flat on its face, if you ask me.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you got 10 seconds, so I'd say that for now we'll agree to disagree.
That's perfectly fine. I'm totally good with that. Thank you for the discussion. I appreciate the genuine kindness.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for actually having good faith.
That's what I try to be. I'll send you a follow. No pressure to follow back, but you're cool.
Before you go,
Alrighty, thank you.
quick thing on that, because I think Sephiroth was close. Who cares about the law? He lied to them up front, told them he could find treasure when he couldn't. So he had a good contract that said, I will try. If I fail, it's not my fault. How does that make him any less of a con man? That just made him better at the con.
I just think your bias is coloring the whole issue. He literally told them up front, a con needs to have deception. That's
What
part
did
of
he
the
tell them
definition.
up front? What
But
did he tell them up front?
Aaron, you were really cruel last time, and we're going back there. I'm just gonna bow out, but thank you guys for your time.
No, wait. I'm being polite.
So I guess it's time for this one. Hi, Patrick. Are you over 18?
Yes, of course.
Can I get your pronouns, please?
Oh, my lord. I never thought about my pronouns. People just really call me Pat. Kind of like Saturday Night Live, Pat.
Can I get your pronouns, please?
I never thought about my pronouns. You're free to call me whatever you like. I prefer you call me Pat. What's wrong with that?
Do you know what pronouns are?
If I didn't, would that bother you?
No, I would just explain it to you.
But what if I didn't want to know?
Well, then you'll be dropped quicker than you could blink.
Yeah, because you're a dictator and you have nothing to do with God.
Roblox, are you over 18?
Yes.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated recently, like literally this year. My birthday is November 22nd, 2007.
Okay, so you're 19?
No, I'm 18.
18.
Because I turned 19 this year.
Okay. And can I get your pronouns, please?
She, her.
Thank you very much. Hang on. I don't know if these people are still in here, but look how easy it is to tell me your freaking pronouns. Sorry, we've had some people who seem to have a problem telling me pronouns.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with that.
Can I ask, are you a believer? I'm assuming you're a believer in a God. I think I've seen the messages.
Yes.
Okay, and hang on. Which God is it?
I believe in Jesus, but I'm also a Catholic, so I believe there's many gods.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But
Okay, and
yeah, continue.
do you believe your main God is good?
Yes. And here's why.
Okay.
I understand some people might say yes, like if God's good, then why does he give us so many troubles and everything like that?
Oh, I don't even
No,
good and bad is
for
going
like
to exist in the
yeah,
world.
like good and bad things, like yeah, he's good, but why are we still having these bad things happening in life and stuff like that? But the thing is, if God were to step in every single time a bad action happens, he would have to take away our free will. And a world without free will would mean a world where love doesn't actually exist. And God values our freedom to love so much that he allows the risk of us choosing to hurt each other.
So, there's certain verse like, okay, is the Bible all given? What's the, words? Hang on. Divinely given by God. That's what I was looking for.
I feel like the Bible, when I was reading the Bible, because I never ever believed in the Bible, but then I started actually trying to believe in it and I was praying and stuff like that. I believe the Bible is the best type of literacy to describe old times, ancient times, because literally you can search it up, but it says, as for the Bible, it's one of the best assessed historical documents of the ancient world. And the reason it is because the people who wrote the New Testament didn't gain wealth or power. They were just eyewitnesses to who chose to die rather than deny what they saw Jesus do.
So you don't prescribe to the Bible?
What do you mean?
So you think it's just a historical document and not actual
No, that's what I used to think. Like before I became Catholic, I just thought, oh yeah, people are just making me believe in the Bible because like everybody just wants to go and like that's what I really thought. But then I started coming through, like I went through a life or death situation, and the only thing I did was to pray about it, and I turned out to live that. Yeah, I did have a little battle scars. Yeah, I did have to face some punishments for going through that or for even putting myself in that situation, but I felt like the only thing that was able to help me was Jesus at that moment. And ever since that life or death situation happened, I just completely turned my soul to him.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
How much you said do you know quite a bit of the Bible?
Yeah, I would say so, because my thing is that I get bored really fast. Like I get really bored really fast, so I download an app that reads out the Bible to me, but in a way that I would understand it more. Like it reads out without these really, really difficult words that I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand it, but it's more understanding. So if you describe something to me, I might just say it in the way that they described it to me.
Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21. Do you know where I'm talking about?
No, can you describe it?
Okay, so Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21 is talking about the woman who does not bleed on her wedding night, being stoned.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to please. Do you know what the hymen is?
I think you don't want me to. I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're good.
I'm a newcomer to the Bible.
The hymen is actually something that women have.
Uh-huh.
Give me a second. I gotta go make sure somebody is awake for work.
Yeah, no,
so
of course.
Brad, you wanna explain, or am I explaining in a second?
No, I think I can explain it. So the hymen is a small muscle inside of the on a woman. I
Yeah.
can't say the word on TikTok. They don't like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But it is a very sensitive muscle, can break very easily.
Oh, you're talking about popping the cherry?
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. It's because like in my term, like in my generation, we don't really say hymens. We just say like the cherry or something like that.
Right. Yeah. That's just a slang way of saying it.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah. So with how sensitive. Okay, you're back. Cool.
I am.
Go for it.
I figured you didn't want to continue this conversation.
I mean, I don't mind, but it's just that with it being a woman's topic, I feel like as a man, I shouldn't weigh in as much, especially when there's a woman talking about it.
Okay. So, do you know how easy it is to, as you would say, pop the cherry?
Yes.
Okay. So, Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21. If a woman, okay, it starts off saying that if a man goes into a woman that he has married and dislikes her, then hang on. Brad, you want to continue this conversation?
Nope.
I know you've heard me talk. I've had this conversation. Yeah, Arcana. This is the verse I've been using all day. Right. Okay. In all seriousness, if a man goes into a woman who he has married, lies with her, okay. If a man goes into a woman who he is married to and dislikes her, he can go to the council and say that she is not a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the mother and the father of the girl is to go to the house, grab the sheet, and bring it to the council. If there is blood on it, it is quote unquote proof that she was a virgin, and he is to pay the father 100 shekels, and as well as he is to remain married to her for the rest of his life. Now, if there is not blood on it, she is to be taken to her father's in front of her father's house. All of the men from the town are to gather in front of that house and stone her to unalivement, because it is quote unquote thought that she was prostituting herself out from her father's house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with all the information on popping the cherry that you have, do you consider that to be good? Because less than 50% of women bleed their first time because of how easy the hymen is to pop.
Mm-hmm. I believe sometimes what can also happen is that the hymen is already stretched out or worn due to like regular physical activity, or it's naturally highly elastic or stretches without tearing, or that she's relaxed and popular lubricated without the tissue to stretch safely without injury. That back then, I don't think they had much of that knowledge like we have these days, where they could actually understand that. But I think it was just like they just saw it. Oh, it's like they know, okay, yeah, if we marry a woman and she doesn't bleed on her first night, she's gone. Like we weren't her first one. But nowadays, people are starting to realize that there are some different type of ways that hymes on these, I don't want to say the real word because I don't want to get you banned, but how hymens on their lady parts are different. Like not everyone's the same down there.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think the Bible is divine word of God?
Yes.
Okay. With it being in your book, this was from God himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is God all-knowing?
Yes, but I also feel like throughout us learning new things, I feel like that changes a little bit. Like, I feel like, yeah, God right there, he was knowing things that they already knew and that everything like that. But at the same time, I kind of felt like he's a little learning. Like, everybody's a little learning. Like, I'm learning things by the day, I'm learning things by the minute. But at the same time, I felt like God was a little learning nowadays compared to back then in the days. Because they didn't have all the things that we had.
So God only knows as much as humans know?
God only knows as much as we've discovered. Or that we have had known, or like stuff like that. Like, at the same time, yeah, he knows everything, he makes humans, but we have to learn throughout history. He's not going to be here to tell us things. He can't tell us things that we don't know. We have to learn about it. So yeah, he might know a lot, but at the same time, I feel like he doesn't give us that brain knowledge to know all these things because he wants us to learn it.
So instead of, giving them the information to make sure innocent women didn't unalive, he just decided to, the humans don't know this yet.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I really talked about when I said that, yeah, people might say, but why does God let all these bad things happen even though he knows like it's right? And that's where I was saying like, oh yeah, if he did do that, then we would not have free will. So if he did tell them, yeah, you can't do that, that's not right, then we wouldn't have free will. And right now, these days, we would not have free will. Because if he did that back then in the days when they didn't know much that we know right now, we wouldn't have free will right now. Meaning we wouldn't be able to love, we wouldn't be able to care for, we wouldn't be able to do much things that we do nowadays because God would be on us. He would be risking our free will to stop us from hurting others.
So it would have taken away free will to make sure innocent women didn't unalive?
That's all the purpose of life. You have to figure out some to find some. He can't, if we wanted him to tell us, okay, yeah, we don't want to keep dying, like we want you to like figure out it yourself, do it yourself, like don't let other people be in control, we wouldn't be where we are today. Much of us wouldn't be alive. Matter of fact, I don't think we would be alive, because if taking away our free will means that love doesn't exist, how would other women get impregnated and have more kids? So that means we wouldn't be alive. It would be a world with no people.
Hang on, I have somebody wanting to... Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Imperial, I didn't realize you were already up here. Yes, what did you have to say?
So there's a couple problems with a couple of things you've been saying. I'm gonna skip the Catholicism one. That one is something that maybe at a later date I'll dig into. But currently, what you're talking about when you're talking about like God and free will, and He needs to give us free will. First of all, I mean, is God so? Is God all powerful?
God is powerful of our love. God is powerful of our...
No. Like, can God do anything? Not like, is God powerful over our love, but like, is he an all-powerful entity that has the
Yes.
power to, yeah, right? Okay. So, is he also all-knowing as well?
Yes.
And he's also all good, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then would it not then be possible, based under these parameters, that he's all-powerful, meaning he can do anything? He's all-knowing, meaning he knows everything. So he knows everything that's going to happen, he knows everything that has happened, and he knows everything that's currently happening. And he's all good, meaning he only ever wants to create situations in which the greatest amount of benefit is received by all involved. That's what I would assume you would mean by all good. Do you think that it would be possible for this God, by that definition, to be able to create a reality in which people can still exercise free will, like the free will and intent to do something, yet still be unable to accomplish it? So, for an example, would it have been possible for God to create a reality in which when someone attempts to harm or to act against another person, there is some type of field or some type of pushback that prevents them from doing so?
Reality as in what? Like when they're doing that, they get put or a message comes to your head or it's like stop, stop, don't do it, don't do it. Or is it like they might go to sleep that night and they have a dream of God saying like, oh, you can't believe you can't do this, you can't do this. Like what are you talking about when you say reality?
Okay. So when I say reality, I mean like some type of physical, natural process or processy or effect that prevents them. So for instance, as they raise their hand to do something negative toward another person, they freeze in place. So the intent is there, the will is there to do the thing, they just can't reach the end result. Do you think that that would
Yes.
be something God could do?
Yes.
Okay, so in this way, people would then, by what you're saying, people would then retain their free will in that they can choose to attempt to do something, even though they're incapable of completing it to the end result, thereby revealing like what they want to do, yet not be able to complete it. And these people aren't forced to agree with God or say that they like him, because these people can still say, well, I don't like God because he's preventing me from doing something I want to do. So in this paradigm, I'm saying this specifically as a retort to your statement of, well, God had to allow terrible things in the world in order for people to have the free will in order for them to love him. In this case, that's not true. If he's all powerful, all knowing, and all good, by what you've accepted thus far, he could have created a system in which bad things don't actually need to occur, yet people can still retain their free will in order to decide if they want to follow him and they want what he's offering them.
But the thing is that even if God gives you a sign that, okay, yeah, you cannot, like, don't do it, people still have the choice whether they do it or not. Taking away free will is that they can't do anything at all. Like, they can't do it at all. They're all under God now. Free choice is they can either first see what God is saying and do it or not do it.
So, like, that's why you specifically asked, and I specifically clarified that, like, the prophecy here is not a voice in the head telling them to stop, but actually a physical property of the universe, in that whenever they try to actually act this out, they're frozen in place. And the fact that it's not a forcible changing of their mind. They could still want to do it, just be incapable of doing it, and I don't think that this negates free will. Free will is just the ability to make a choice, and even in some cases to act upon that choice that you've made, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have the result that you wanted when you made that choice. The result is not the point when it comes to free will. It is just the ability to make a choice and to try and act on that choice that you've made in reality, and the ability to have chosen otherwise than you would have. That's all free will is.
Okay. So what do you, in
So
simpler terms, what are you trying to say?
So that free will is just the ability to have the agency of your own mind, especially when we're talking about God and wanting to follow God. It's just the ability to choose whether or not you want to follow God. And in that paradigm, God could, by your acceptance of the things I laid out, God could have created a world in which people would still have the freedom to decide, I want to follow you and I like you, or I don't want to follow you because you don't allow me to do things I want to do, and still prevent things like child cancer or schmurder or things of this nature, or grape. So when you say like the evil is necessary for people to love him, I'm saying that from what you've said so far, that's actually not necessarily true if we accept the definition of God as all powerful, all knowing, and all loving.
Yeah, but God, it's not like God, he looks at us and he sent Jesus down. Now Jesus is on the cross and he's dead, and he just lets us go through this pain and he's not with us. God, he didn't stay comfortable in heaven. He made humans suffer he became human and suffered with us. He knows what it's like to break, to cry, and to die. He doesn't cause our pain. He walks through it with us and promises that in eternity, he will undo it all. Meaning, yeah, he might do all these things, he might let all these bad things happen, but he's there with us and he foresees everything that's happening, and no matter what happens, he's still going to deal with it. He's not comfortable where he is right now. I can promise you God's not happy where he is now, but he still isn't letting people out on their own, because when people die, everybody says they go to heaven and they meet God and they become better, and that they might get reborn into a life where they know more, or that they might be different. And that is God showing his way, that he has not been away from you. He is still with you. He is still here dealing with all the things you're dealing with. He has cried with you. He is here when you're in your worst thoughts. He's
Can I?
not alone. It's not like he's giving us the free will to do whatever, and God is not here with you. No, he's here with you. He is, but
So, if I
he's
may,
trying his best to stop it, but he can't physically get out from heaven, come to your room and tell you stop it. He will send you messages, yes, and it is what you want to do with those messages, because if he takes away free will right now, this world will go corrupt so bad, but he can't
okay,
do it
so
anymore.
real quick,
It's
so I
too,
can, because that I want to address that. So you said
yeah.
multiple times that like God, came down and he endured the same things people endured. I want to ask you, does that make it okay? Does it make it okay if like for you, or not you, I'm not going to use you because that's a little crazy. We'll say some random person. Is it okay for us to allow a random person to be raped and say, well, no, it's okay because I allowed myself to be raped too, so it's okay that you were?
No, but that's why we have free will.
Okay, so
That's why
hold on.
God hasn't taken
That
away
that
our
has
free
that
will.
has that has nothing to do with free will right now. I'm just trying to draw a analogy here because when you're saying you're trying to excuse it like having like, oh well, God's not letting us endure it on our own. He's there with us as if this makes it better, but it doesn't. It's still bad. It doesn't matter if he endured the same thing you endured. That shouldn't make it okay that he's having people endure this, which is what you were saying in your long statement. The next thing that I would say is like you said, well, God cannot physically come down to your door and stop you and like exit heaven. Well, is he not all powerful? Can he not do anything? If he wanted to, based off of that definition, he could physically come down and stop me from leaving and doing whatever terrible thing I want to do. And that, by the way, doesn't negate my free will. I'm still making a free and willing decision to want to go and act upon this, and God would be making a free and willing decision to stand and stop me from achieving that result. But that doesn't mean I didn't get to choose that result, and it doesn't mean that I lose any agency in having that sense of intention to want it or desire it.
Okay. Well, also, when I keep saying that God will take away our free will, is the ability to choose between right or wrong. Because if God did step in, our freedom would be taken. And in this view, much of the world's pain comes from human choices, not from God. It comes
Okay,
from our choices that we make. For choices to be meaningful, the consequences must be real. So that's not from God. That's from our human choices, the human choices that we decided to make, not the human choices. It's not like God's going inside our mind to do something. No, it's our choices. Yes, God might try to prevent us, but there's multiple things like, oh, there's signs on the street that try to prevent you from jaywalking, but we still jaywalk, and the consequences are whatever we decide to do. That's a human choice.
so real quick, like when God created the sum total of reality, was he all knowing at that point?
Yes.
So does that mean that he knew from the moment before he created creation that he knew exactly what I would be doing currently, right now, before it ever even manifested?
Yes.
Okay, so if this is the paradigm that God created the universe with this knowledge that these things were going to happen and made the world in such a way, knowing exactly what the end state was going to be, and still purposely made that world fully knowing what he was doing and what the consequences were, would not the responsibility fall upon God for allowing that to happen? Because if I created a robot and let's say I could see into the future, I see into the future and I see that if I make this robot, it's going to go on a crazy freaking schmurder spree and it's going to do all these terrible things. And even if I give that robot like free will, but I see what it's going to use that free will for, and then even knowing that, I still create that robot and I still allow it to do that, am I not responsible for that to some degree?
Yeah,
So
but
that's what
yeah,
God did,
continue.
isn't it? Like, it's fine. I was just going to say, like, is that not what God did? He created, instead of a robot, let's say it's humans, and he created all these humans knowing exactly what they would do. That some of us would go in murder sprees, some of us would become a mustache man that tries to take over like the world and Europe and all that crazy crap. And he did that fully knowing that would happen, and yet he still did it. And he did it specifically, if you believe some version of the Bible, with a plan. This is all part of his plan. Everything is going according to his plan. Um, and he did that. Should he not bear responsibility for it? Because you're saying, like, oh, this is all humans, to our responsibility. We're the ones who make the choices. Yet God's the one who chose to make us knowing exactly what we would do and knowing exactly what negative outcomes would occur.
Because goodness could not exist without a choice. Like virtues like love, kindness, honesty, and courage only have the meaning because a person can choose to either be hateful or kind, cruel or honest, deceitful or courage, or cowardly,
Deceitful.
deceitful. Sorry.
Sorry. No, I apologize for correcting you like that. I didn't mean to do that. It was just reflex.
Yeah,
Go on.
no, of course. Like if a computer chooses to say you are beautiful, it means nothing because the computer had no choice. If a human is choosing to love you, if a human choosing to love you means something, it is because they have the freedom to either walk away or hurt you. God
Okay,
allows the bad so that the good can be genuine and meaningful.
we're gonna, if I'm still allowed to, we're going to tackle that good and like what makes good meaningful and what doesn't. But right before we do that, I want to address this free will thing you keep bringing up because it's like something you keep pivoting back to. So
Hang on,
I'm.
Imperial.
Mhm.
Let me know when you're done, because Cero up there wants to have a conversation, and there's Roblox. I hope you got some time, because I got a couple people that want to speak to you.
I do, but guys, go easy on me. I'm still trying to learn.
That's why we're Robin up, Shadow up. Imperial, continue.
Hi, Roblox. Like,
Hi.
so here's the thing. You keep bringing up free will, but like I first would like to ask you, how can you substantiate that we even have free will? Before we even get to substantiating God, or, you'd have to prove that. So we're going to leave that off just for a little bit. Is there any other way, other than appealing to the Bible, that you can substantiate that we have free will?
Yeah.
Can you please do so?
If we go outside, right, we can either go back inside or we can pick some leaves. That is free will. If we want to go to a park and we want to spread the word of God, that is free will. If we want to also go to the same park and we also want to tell everybody how God is not real, that is free will.
So I'm gonna say I'm just gonna ask you and then just say yes or no and then I'll explain what it is. Have you ever heard of determinism?
Trying to think.
It's okay.
I've heard of it before, yes.
Okay, do you understand what it is or do you want me to explain it?
My explanation of what it means might be different than what yours is, so please explain it.
Yeah, so determinism is this belief that, by the way, like what you do, the choices you make are actually determined by factors beyond your control. So, for instance, like your genetics already are going to predispose you to making certain decisions over others. Like you might have a higher proclivity to becoming an alcoholic based primarily off your genetics, which you did not get to choose, and you do not necessarily have like a meaningful control over, yet this still might make it way more likely that you are to become an alcoholic or schizophrenia as well, like mental disorders, but we won't go there yet. And then the other factors, such as you didn't get to choose your parents, right? So your parents have a big influence on the type of person you develop to be. I'm going to try and keep this short and just stick with the parents. So the way they raise you alone, which you have no choice on, your parents are going to raise you the way that they raise you, is going to influence the person you become. And the person you become based off of your parents' influence is going to influence the choices that you make. So determinism is the idea that actually you don't have free will. Everything you were going to choose to do, you were already going to choose to do all time. You could not have chosen any differently because of all these other external factors that necessarily combine and make it so that that is the choice that you have to make based off of this. So when you tell me like going outside, choosing to go to the park, choosing to spread the word of God, all of these things aren't substantiating actual use of free will because it could very well be that it's deterministic. You were always going to do that and you could not have chosen to do any differently because everything you encountered in your life made it so that that was the only choice you would make in that moment.
Mm.
So in order to substantiate, like we have actual free will, you would have to demonstrate that you could have chosen differently. That instead of waking up in the morning and making pancakes, you have to show me that actually that morning, even though you decide to make pancakes, if we rewound time without you having any memory of what you did, by the way, when you rewound time, you have no memory of having made pancakes, and you wake up and then you actually make waffles. I don't know how anyone would prove that, by the way. Because like again we can't rewind time, and I think that even just logically it stands to reason that you would definitionally do what you did before, because if I remove all of your memories of what you did, and so it's like you're restarting that same moment all over again with no other influences, everything exactly the same, you would make the same choice because I have proof that you would make the same choice because you already did make that choice within that same paradigm. So I don't know how you would substantiate free will based off of that. Having said that, I'm going to stop there because Ace said there's a ton of other people and I don't want to hog all the time.
She's up here. She's up here until everybody's done. Or until she leaves. Whichever comes first.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Ace.
I know Sarah wants to speak next.
Oh, I'm known as Sarah now? Okay.
You're known as whatever the hell I want to call you.
Nah, you're good. You're good. It's all in jokes.
Sephiroth.
So, Roblox. I'm going to give you an argument, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be about four premises, 3 conclusions. You can tell me if you agree or disagree with any of these, and we can try and have a quick back and forth on them, as long as the host doesn't mind. So just let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So premise 1, or P1. If an action is foreknown with certainty by an infallible being, which would be your God, right? All-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient, all the things, then that action cannot fail to occur. Would you agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Disagree. Okay. Why do you disagree?
Because it can be prevented.
Okay. Okay. In what way? So like if God knows that something will occur, in what way can it not occur?
Like, if we're crossing the street and God knows if we cross the street right now, there's going to be a drunk driver that comes and hits us, there can be a prevention, like, oh, somebody can come and try to stop you and be like, oh, look down there, you see the crazy driver? Or it can be, oh, you trip over your shoe and now you have to tie your shoelace and then the car drives past you, so now you can cross safely. Or it can be that you eat something and then it's like, oh, my stomach starts hurting, and all of a sudden you don't want to eat it no more, preventing you from eating a possibly poisonous thing.
Gotcha. Well, here, maybe I'll try it from a different angle, if that's all right. So for this argument, we're going to be mainly focusing on Judas Iscariot. Do you remember Judas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So God knew that Judas was going to be a human being that would at one point or another betray Jesus Christ. Was there any way that Judas could have not done that?
Let me think about that one. Actually, let me just stop saying out of the, let me think.
You're good.
Sorry. Can we come back on that one?
Sure. Yeah, we can go back to P1 whenever you're ready. So P2, if an action cannot fail to occur, then the person performing it could not have done otherwise. So for instance, if it's the case, and it is the case, or at least as far as we're aware, Judas was predestined. He was foreknown that he would betray Jesus Christ. And if it is the case that God knew that this would take place, it could not have happened otherwise. Would you agree or disagree?
I'm gonna say that again, sorry.
Yeah, if an action cannot fail to occur, then the person performing it could not have done otherwise. So if God says Judas is going to betray Jesus, Judas would have had to have betrayed Jesus.
If God stopped Judas, it would destroy his free will, because Judas acted out on his own genuine desires, specifically greed, disillusionment, and habit of stealing from the disciplines. And God foreknew what Judas was going to do, because God sees the entire timeline at once. But God's knowledge did not, because Judas chose to do it. If God overrode it and he told him to stop, it would violate the rules of true freedom that God established for humanity.
Well, to be fair, I don't think that Christians have free will. That's the whole point behind this argument. Because, okay, so the way I look at it, I'll just give it to you the way that I think of it. So, God, being this all-knowing being, he knows every single human on the face of the earth because supposedly he created each and every single one of us. Now, if it's the case that we have the Garden of Eden scenario where Adam and Eve fall and, the fall of man, all the good stuff, then we would know that God then had the plan for Jesus to come and be the sacrifice for all of humanity's sins. If it's the case that Jesus was going to be the savior of everyone, he would have had to have been sacrificed, meaning that between Genesis to the New Testament, nobody had free will. Not a single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we have free will even now. For instance, if we go to Romans, the book of Romans, it states, for those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, meaning, he knew the followers of Christ would be the followers of Christ, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he justified. Those he justified, he glorified. Now, if it's the case that God knows every single human that's going to be a Christian, they're going to go to the happy, fun place when they pass away, we also could say that he's making people that he knows will not be conformed to Christ's image, that will go to hell when they pass away. That's not free will. That's predestination.
Mm-hmm. Basically, what I'm seeing from why God let Judas do that betrayal, was because Jesus's main purpose on earth was to die. According to Christian theology, Jesus's main purpose on earth was to die as a sacrifice to humanity from sin. And for that to happen, Jesus had to be arrested and handed over to the authorities. And God allowed Judas's betrayal because it was the precise mechanism to require the trigger of the crucifixion and the substance recognition, or I forgot how to say it. Restoration. Sorry.
Resurrection.
Yeah, that one.
You're good.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I have like a hard time pronouncing words.
No, you're completely fine. Well, I mean, I guess that's pretty much all I had. I know that there are other people waiting in line. I will gladly concede the time to whoever wants it next. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm willing to go last if Shadow wants to go next, or I can go next.
Shadow.
Yeah. You can go. Go ahead. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Roblox, thanks for coming up on the panel.
Of
So,
course.
I'm here to specifically talk to you about free will because this is something I'm quite passionate about. Because I don't think free will exists, especially if you are a believer in the Bible or the God of the Bible. And there's a lot of different ways that I could approach this. But firstly, before I do any of that, I feel like you should know some foundational knowledge, okay? So I'm going to read to you a definition from the Oxford Dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary is the number one in the entire world. Merriam-Webster is number two. I prefer Oxford. But this is what the definition, the philosophical definition of free will is. It says, the power to make your own decisions without being controlled by God, fate, or circumstances. So if we're talking about characters in the Bible that were destined because of prophecy to do something, that goes against the definition of free will. In the case of people who God told them to do something, and if God's all powerful and you can't make God wrong, then that means that they were controlled by God, which means that they didn't have free will. And there's a lot of different examples of that. We could open up Exodus and we could open up Romans, and I could talk about how Yahweh intentionally hardens Pharaoh's heart, and he does so to make a miraculous display of his power to instill fear into his people, because that's what the text says. That's what it says in the New and Old Testament. Um, we could talk about Jonah and the whale, how Jonah defied God and said he did not want to go to Nineveh, and God forced either a whale or a giant fish to swallow up Jonah, and he was inside of there, and he was begging for his life, wanting to be free, and the God only decided to allow Jonah to be spit out once Jonah relented. And I could give you even more examples than that, but just based off of this definition alone, there's so many examples in the Bible that just make this impossible. Okay, but I think that you deserve to know where this concept of free will comes from, my dear. It comes from a man called Saint Augustine. Saint Augustine of Hippo specifically. And fun, the Saint Augustine, he was a hypocrite. He was a terrible person. He was a mass unaliver. He was part of what would later become the Roman Catholic Church, but he was a persecutor of other Christians. He was somebody who unalived them, somebody who commissioned the Roman government to persecute other Christians he didn't agree with. He was money hungry. He had multiple affairs on his wife with a variety of different women that went on for years. I want you to know how morally repugnant this man that came up with free will is, because his reasoning for coming up with this, in my opinion, was very self-motivated. Uh, if you if you believe that the nature of human beings is that we are destined from birth, even if you're a baby, that you're sinful, that you're wicked, that you'll never be good in the eyes of God, idea. When you say I believe in free will, you're taking this corrupt old Catholic official, this terrible person, and you're saying, you know what? Even though I don't know where this idea came from, even though I haven't done the philosophical deep diving to see if I believe in free will, you're reaffirming this, you know? And I of course don't think that you're doing it intentionally. I think that you're doing it out, and of course, that like I said, I don't mean this with any disrespect. I think you're doing it out of ignorance because you have this idea of free will as it was presented to you in church and how your family taught it to you. And that's exactly how I felt about it. When you study the philosophical idea of what free will is and who came up with it, that's very problematic. Now, if you would like to address anything I said before I move on to the next thing I'm going to say, feel free. I know I've been talking a minute.
Just because, like, knowledge does not equal cause. Just because God knows what we're going to do doesn't mean he forces us to do it. Think of it like watching a replay of football game. You know exactly who's going to score next, but your knowledge isn't what makes the player run into the zone. The player still makes the choice in real time. God exists outside of time. He sees our choices, but we are still the ones making them.
Okay, Roblox, I hear what you're saying, and now I want you to engage with what I'm about to say very honestly, okay? Because I
Mhm.
know that you may be inclined to say something because it's defensive of your faith, but I want like a genuine response from you. Are you cool with hypotheticals if I ask you a couple hypothetical questions?
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay. Let's say I am uh, a maker of robots, okay? And let's say I make robots that help people all the time, and there's never been any accidents, no problems like that. Well, let's say hypothetically, I make a robot that helps people, but I've also programmed it to harm people. If that robot then goes out and harms people, as the maker of that robot, knowing what I programmed it to do, am I responsible for that robot's actions?
I personally think yes, legally and morally, you are responsible.
Okay, good, good, good. And are you aware in the Bible that there are scriptures that say that God knew you before you were ever born? And it says that your steps are numbered, that God knows everything you're ever going to do before you do it. Agree or disagree?
Agree, but the thing with your statement or your argument is that those, like, human free will is so different than a computer programming, because with the computer, with the robot, they cannot pause, they can't feel guilt or choose to override your code. You
Oh, I know.
intentionally
That's why it's a hypothetical. I know.
oh
I'm using it to illustrate a point. I know
oh
that it's not the same as comparing it to a human being.
oh no,
I'm using it to illustrate a point.
oh, of
Okay.
course.
Just follow with me. I know it may seem I'm going somewhere with this, okay? So, thank you for the concession. I'm glad that you know the scripture in which it says that your steps are numbered, that God knew you before you're born. I'm glad that you know that because that makes things easier for me. Um, so, with that being said, let me ask you, Roblox. Is there anything you could ever do to make God wrong?
Hmm. No.
Okay. So, if God knows that you're gonna have orange juice for breakfast, and you have the choices of orange, milk, and coffee, then What seems to be happening here is you have the illusion of free choice, my dear. You believe that you could choose orange juice, milk, or coffee. But actually, because God knows that you're going to do it, because He planned and He made you to choose orange juice in this moment, and because you cannot make God wrong, you do not have free will.
That's actually a great. I mean, the thing is, knowledge isn't forced. Foreknowledge does not cause the action.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, so here's the thing, right? You could make the claim that all of the choices that you made are organic to you, that it's what you wanted to do, but simultaneously, you have to admit that even if it is what you wanted to do, that you could not have chosen anything differently because you can't make God wrong. So that's why I say it's the illusion of free will. It's not free will, it's the illusion. It's freedom of choice. And it's not even really freedom of choice, it's also an illusion because you can't choose anything that the God doesn't want you to choose. What are your thoughts?
Hmm. I mean, it's really just the truth of could have chosen otherwise. Like, yes, you did accurately hit the exact point of the paradox. I mean,
And you see,
for,
Roblox, I'm not trying to tell you what kind of Christian to be, because I'm not a Christian myself. Used to be years ago. I'm not anymore. And to be honest with you, I think the idea of having free will is a lot better than what's actually in the scriptures. But my dear, if you do read the scriptures, it's evident that this God predestines everything, that there is no actual choice. You know, in the Lord's Prayer, when it says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, thy will be done. You're doing the Lord's will. That's what a Christian is. That's what a Jewish person is. You're doing the Lord's will, baby. You
yeah,
you can't not choose the Lord's will. God controls everything within your eternal framework. So you can't choose anything that the God doesn't want you to do.
but the thing, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, you cannot choose anything else, not because God is physically forcing your hand, but because it is logically impossible to choose a future that doesn't happen. Like, if you are exactly who you are tomorrow morning with the exact same mood, the exact same thirst, and the exact same thoughts, you will always choose the exact same choice. You can't choose anything else because you are you and you are going to act exactly like you. If you choose to drink orange juice, God knows you would drink orange juice. If you were to change your mind at the last split of the second and drink water instead, then God's knowledge from eternity would have always been that you were going to drink water.
Right.
Truth
So in
cannot contradict
okay, so
truth.
in that example before I used orange juice, milk, coffee. It doesn't matter. It looks like you have the choice of orange juice, milk, and coffee, but if the God predestined you from before you were born because he knows everything, including the future, if he predestines you to drink orange juice, if at the last minute you drink water, I agree. It means that the God actually wanted you to drink water, not the orange juice. Because as mortals, there's nothing we could ever do to make the God wrong. He's omniscient, he's omnipresent, and he's omnipotent. That means that the stories, like I said earlier, the stories in the Bible in which people are prophesied to do certain things, they cannot choose not to do that. Jesus, according to the Bible, was slain before the foundations of the earth. So before Adam and Eve had even committed their primordial sin, The God of the Bible knew that his son was going to be slain because he has such a comprehensive view of the future that he knows everything that will ever happen before it ever happens. So, like I said, it's at this point, I think I've said my piece, but
No, I do
um,
want to say something
I
back to that. I do want to say something back to that. You might feel trapped because you think God's knowledge is like a brick wall blocking your choices, but in reality God's knowledge is like a mirror reflecting your choices. You aren't trapped because what God knows. God knows what he knows because of what you are going to freely choose. You have the ultimate power over your actions. God simply has the ultimate power of seeing it. He has the foresee. He knows what's going to happen, but it's what you want to do.
but Roblox, we went over this. You can't make God wrong. We saw what happened with Jonah. Jonah tried to make God wrong, and look at what happened to him. You cannot make God wrong. That's the problem, though. Is if you could make God wrong, then you would have free will. But if you can't make God wrong, then you don't have free will. That's what this boils down to.
But
If you could provide an example,
to not the enableness to not prove him wrong is just math, not slavery. You can't contradict, like, truth cannot contradict truth. Imagine you're writing down on a piece of paper exactly what you drank yesterday. Can you go back and change yesterday to make it look like your paper was wrong? No, yesterday is locked in. To God, your tomorrow is just as clear as your yesterday. You cannot prove him wrong because you can't make a reality where a thing both happens and doesn't happen at the same time. You will walk into, the truth is, you will walk into the kitchen tomorrow and pick the drink that you want to. You won't be doing it to fulfill prophecy, and you won't feel a magical force pulling your arm. You will be completely free in that moment, acting on your own choices, and that is exactly what God sees.
actually, Roblox, I'm not trying to. I don't mean to come at you sideways like that. Hopefully, you don't take it this way, but I do not elements of what you just suggested because firstly, you just power crept your own God. You said that you're by your own admission, now your God does not have the power to change the past. So you put a limitation on his omnipotence. But let for the sake of things, I feel
But
like
is drinking the orange juice, is that life threatening?
it doesn't matter.
No,
It's
but
not about
that's my question. Wait, my question is, if you drink the orange juice, is that life threatening to you?
I could be.
Is
I'm
that going to
allergic. What if I'm allergic to
potentially, is that
oranges?
going,
You
no,
don't
but
know.
you're not answering my question. If you go ahead inside the fridge, you wake up that morning, you feel thirsty, you decide to go to the fridge and you decide to pick out orange juice, is that life threatening where you're going to go ahead and meet God? Is that taken away from what he put inside this world? If it is, then you tell me, and if it's not, then you tell me. Is it? Yes or no? That's a quick,
I
easy yes or no.
It could be. I could be allergic to oranges. I could
If
be
you know
diabetic.
you
You
aren't
don't know me.
allergic, here's my thing. If you know you aren't allergic to water and you go inside the fridge and you drink water, is that life threatening?
But you see, I see what you're
But
trying to
I'm just
do.
asking you, yes or
But
no, is it life threatening?
hold on, my dear. It's not life
No,
Yes,
but
it
threatening.
I'm
can
However,
asking
be.
you, yes or
I
no.
would like to make a
Just
caveat
answer,
here.
but just
I could
answer
do.
yes or no. I've been
It's.
letting
I
you
already
ask me all
agreed.
these
No,
questions. I
it's
let
not life
everybody
threatening.
ask me these questions. I have a
It's
question.
not.
If you
No. My
go,
answer is no.
if it's no, right?
Yes.
But you're
My answer is no.
comparing you drinking water to what I said earlier. If you cross the street and God comes and tries to, something happens in the future where you trip on it, it's not God going ahead and trying to push you out the way. Water and getting hit by a car is two different things. Drinking water is, you can drink water and you're fine about your day. But if a drunk driver is coming across and God stops you, or something happens that he sees is going to happen, and you thinking, okay, yeah, that's God that came out. God already knows what's going to happen to you. Everything is already in your future. He already sees everything. The thing is that people like me, I even do it myself. If something happens where I think, oh my God, I could have just got killed, that must be God. That must be God. What I'm trying to say is that you might think you don't have free will because things that might happen, you might be like, okay, God stopped me from doing it. But the thing is, it wasn't intentionally God. It wasn't intentionally
Okay,
God. It was really
I'm
your
following with what you're
choice.
saying,
It was
and
already gonna happen.
I don't want you to I don't want you to think that I'm intentionally trying to look for the worst. But let's go back to the intoxicated driver, right? Now, let's hypothetically say that this intoxicated driver, they didn't mean anything. You know, this is like their third beer. Um, they're a really good driver, never had a ticket in their life. They're a good person. They go to church every Sunday. Let's just apply all of the most kindest charitable attributes to this intoxicated driver. And then we'll even apply all of these same positive attributes to the pedestrian. You know what? Maybe they're visually impaired. They weren't looking. Um, maybe they were distracted. Who knows? All right. But the issue is that this God in this scenario would still have known the entire lives from beginning to end from these people before they were ever born. And that would mean that they were predestined to end up in this collision. So even if this was a freak accident and this was not meant to happen at all, and it's tragedy, that meant that the God intentionally designed for this accident to happen. And you could there's a lot of different appeals to how you could go about justifying this. You could say, hey, God works in mysterious ways. Maybe God wanted to reward them and take them up to heaven early. There's a lot of different apologetics that you could use, but you cannot make the God wrong. If it was your time to unalive in that way, and the God wanted you to, you can't make him wrong. So
The thing is,
so
he's not
even
trying to
if
be
it's
wrong.
bad, the God
Hey,
He's
destines it.
not.
Daniel.
He's not
Hey.
trying. Yes. Yes.
Shadow had something. Shadow, are
Oh,
you?
I'm sorry, Shadow. I'll be quiet.
Shadow's been patiently waiting his turn.
No, you're
Okay, wait.
fine.
Before Shadow goes, let me just say one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. Sorry. God is not intentionally doing it. Like, if, for example, if you go to a college and you're in college and you're doing bad, your teacher's gonna tell you, oh yeah, you're gonna be, I can see you working at McDonald's for a living. And then you come back and you're like, oh yeah, teach, I didn't focus and now I'm working at McDonald's. Did they forcefully make you now do that? No, it's just what they saw in you, what they see. That's what God sees. He's not enforcing that on you. That's just what he sees. He sees you doing that. Okay, Shadow, you can go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like derail the conversation. So, like, if Robin had another point, it's totally fine. But and I get that. A lot of people got a lot of questions about your faith. So, I'm not here to pile on. I'm just here to add. You know what I mean? So, I'm not here to do any of that. Just saying. But like, Scripture talks about how God, formed us in the womb. He has a plan for us, right? And like, before a word is on our tongue, he knows what it will be. And so, it's God's plan at the end of the day. I can definitely, it's God's plan, because I can definitely, like, my choices are in his plans. I think it's pretty obvious that he's all-knowing. So even though I think I have free will, and even though it looks like choice, it's in his plan. It supersedes any choice that I have, because then if I can just go against God and make my own choices, I don't need God at that point. If I could just go my own way, do my own thing, I know it looks like it's my decisions, but God knows what my decisions are. He supersedes all of my decisions, all of my plans, as far as Scripture goes. So I'm rooting it in the doctrine. That's where we get his omni-properties from.
Yeah, for what you're saying, God, in the biblical theology, God's plan does not destroy your free will. Rather, your free will is the exact tool God uses to fulfill his plan. Like in Luke, for example, in Luke 7:30, the text directly states that the religious leaders rejected God's purpose for themselves by refusing to be baptized. If God's plan completely overdoes human will, it would be impossible for humans to reject his purpose. God gives you a target and he allows you to choose whether to aim for or not.
Okay, when Jesus tells Peter that before the rooster crows he will deny him 3 times, can Peter do anything except deny Jesus, or can he use his free will against Jesus to make him wrong?
Peter Okay, Peter still had free will, but he could not choose anything else because he was reacting entirely to his own fear and human weaknesses. Jesus was diagnosing Peter, not overriding him. Like, Jesus didn't cast a magic spell on Peter, forcing him to lie. Instead, think of it like Jesus was an expert doctor looking at an x-ray. Like, right before that, Peter had bragged, even if everyone else falls away, like something like it will never desert you. Jesus knew Peter's heart better than Peter knew his own. Jesus saw the hidden fear, panic, and weakness inside Peter. When Jesus said Peter would deny him, he was stating a perfect diagnosis of what Peter would freely choose to do when surrounded by angry, dangerous mob.
You did mention that he didn't. So I'm wondering.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, about that.
There's that contradiction. How it's free
the
will,
truth trap.
but also no choice. I'm noticing that contradiction.
Peter was acting on his real desires. In that cold courtyard, Peter's strongest internal desire was self-preservation. He was terrified of being arrested and crucified alongside Jesus, so his free will was to choose to survive over loyalty. God's mirror, it doesn't lie. God's knowledge is a mirror of reality. If Peter had been brave enough to confess to Jesus, then Jesus' prediction at the dinner would automatically have been, Peter, you will stand brave tonight. Because Peter was going to fail, the prediction perfectly mirrored that failure.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with what happens. I just see that as overriding his free will because Jesus predicts it and it comes to pass. There's no way Peter cannot deny Jesus. So it's very clear.
But the thing is, to override Peter's free will, Jesus would have had to step inside Peter's brain, take control of his vocal cords, and force him to say, I don't know that man, against his wishes, which is not what happened. Peter denied Jesus because Peter desperately wanted to save his own life in that moment. It was 100% Peter's own choice, driven by his own fear. Prediction is not the permission of force. Imagine you're watching a toddler walk towards a coffee table with a glass cup right over the edge. You know the child's clumsy habits perfectly. You say out loud, he's going to knock you over. Stop that kid. Go pick up you know that. But a second later, the child bumps and the glass shatters. Did your prediction force the child to do it? No. Did it override the child's freedom? No. You knew the child was going to do that, and you knew the situation so perfectly. You knew exactly what choice they were about to make. That's the same thing Jesus did with Peter. He said something. Yes, your parents might say, oh, don't go out tonight. I don't have a good feeling about it. Don't go out tonight. It's not that your parents are making it's permission, no, don't go out tonight, please, for me, just don't go out tonight, I just don't have a feeling about tonight. No, it's not permission or force, it's a prediction, it's a feeling, it's a gut. The choice was certain but free. It really brings back to compatibilism. An event can be 100% certain to happen while still being in complete free choice. Peter cannot do anything else because Peter was always going to choose survival over arrest. His choice was locked in by his own character's flaws, not by Jesus's words. Jesus simply stated out loud what Peter's future free choice was going to be. And Peter didn't feel overwritten. If you read the account in the Gospel of Luke, Peter didn't feel like a robot being controlled by a puppet master. When the rooster crowded, Peter remembered what Jesus had said, looked across the courtyard at Jesus breaking down. He felt intense guilt. You only feel guilt if you know deep down inside you were the one who made the bad choice. Peter knew his free will was intact. That's why his heart felt broken.
Okay, so there's a verse or a scripture where God said, I prevented you from sinning. Would that be overriding someone's free will?
What are you saying? Wait, can you re-say that?
If there is a verse that says God it was by his hand, if God says it was me who prevented you from sinning, right? Would that be an instance where God took away someone's free will?
I mean, there is Genesis 26. I mean, for the verse that I'm talking about, I personally don't think it violated his free will, because I'm gonna just say it short because I don't really know how to remember to say this guy's name. It was like Abelich. Ablinch. For me, what I've always heard about that is that he did not want to. He did not violate his free will because Ambelinch wanted to complete the Ultrady. He did it because he wanted to do the right thing. So God stepping in behind the scenes was to just help him. That's what a lot of people like. For example, me, if I wanted to go cheer, right? But I felt like I was not going to be able to do it because I don't have precise movements. But then my mom comes and she says, don't worry, I believe you got it. I go and I try out for cheer, and now look, I made it. And that was only because I had somebody else there relaying a message to me that was giving me faith. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But if you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it.
Right. There's other verses where God hardens people's hearts and melts people's hearts. So, I'm not going exactly to that verse. I'm just asking if there were a verse where God prevented someone from sinning, would that be God taking away someone's free will?
No.
Okay. Preventing someone from doing an action that they were intending to do, and then God changing that course of action is not taking away their free will?
No, because he's not preventing them. He's giving them a choice. For example, if you see on your, for example, look, if you see on your thing, it says you have no gas, like you have a little bit of gas left, and you have 2 hours left going to the drive. Is that preventing you? Is that going to make you automatically turn? Yes, that's going to make you automatically turn. But is it because you have to, or because you want to, or because God's telling you no? It's because you technically don't have it. You you're going to end up stranded. You are. So you have to turn because you need gas.
Hold on.
Okay.
You can't have it. You can't have it both
example
ways.
where God can override someone's free will in your mind, or is it not possible? Because, in my mind, I'm thinking if God can literally possess someone like a robot, and make them jump on one foot, like, I think that's taking away someone's free will. Like, do you think even that is possible?
He doesn't possess them to prevent them. He gives them a
That's not
warning.
true, Samson.
He
That's not
gives
true. The
them
Holy
Hold on,
Spirit came over Samson.
hold on, real quick, I promise, real quick, I want to help Shadow's comment because he made a really good comment, and the response I don't think was appropriate. So Shadow was saying, do you think that if God like intervened and made someone choose something that they were not going to choose to do, but makes them choose it anyway, like when God hardened Pharaoh's heart in the Bible, which it talks about, that is that an example? Would that not be God subverting the free will of that individual? You can't say that, you can't have it two ways. You can't say, well, it's not actually, even though God's doing something to make them do something different than what they were going to decide to do, and just justify that by, well, they were going to do it anyway, without at least substantiating that. But then also say, that God is like he doesn't intervene to this degree, but at the same time he does intervene to the degree to rush an end state that someone wasn't choosing to actually reach just yet at that time. Like you can't say it's not a subversion of free will, but then also argue that subversion of free will would be taking away your right to choose. And then when he gives you an example, God taking away someone's right to choose, you can't just say, well, that's different. That's special pleading.
No, he doesn't.
In the Bible, does it state that God hardened Pharaoh's heart?
Honestly, have no idea. I'm
Well,
still learning about the Bible. So when it comes to reading scriptures or understanding things from the Bible, I have little knowledge on that.
so here's the thing about that, right? So if I have a problem with that, I'm going to be a little bit more forceful here, and like if it's too much, you let me know. I'll try to scale back. But it's really I don't like it when you've constantly been arguing with people about like what the Bible says and what God can and cannot do, but yet when pushed upon Scripture, which would be like one of the main sources where you would be getting this information from, which has definitive descriptions of things God has done and has not done, refused to do, or allowed to happen, or whatever, you can't then just turn to, well, I don't know that specifically, so I don't know. Well, if you don't know that and you don't know if that's in your Bible, I feel like it's really weird for you to claim that God wouldn't do something if you don't know the Bible and you don't know if he did or he didn't, because that's where that evidence would be. Now,
It's
having
not that I
said
don't
that,
know the Bible. It's that I don't know the scripture that you're talking about. If you might say the scripture, then I might understand what you're talking about. But if you're listing, if you're listing out a random scripture, I wouldn't know it.
do you know who Pharaoh is in the Bible in reference to the Bible?
Yes.
Do you know the story? What is Pharaoh involved in? What story?
Exodus 4:21,
I thought
where
you didn't know.
Pharaoh
I thought you
hardened
didn't.
his heart. Cause you guys are telling me about the thing, so I whipped out my Bible.
Okay, good. So the story that like the reason why a little incredulous about this is that when
Mm-hmm.
you claim to be a Christian, this is one of the stories that they teach every like child in Christianity. Every single time, like the story of Moses, the story of the Exodus. It's a really strong story. It's super pivotal to the religion actually because that's the story in which the Ten Commandments are revealed. I would hope if you're claiming or sorry that if sorry I'm trying to figure out how to word this without being too like contentious here. I would hope that if being a Christian that you would know that story because that's the Ten Commandments that God says that you're supposed to abide by, right? Like that's where he says, honor thy mother and father, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife and property and all this other stuff. That's where all that is. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and a big part of that story is Moses's, like of the Exodus, is a contention between Moses and the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh, like a prominent figure in Christianity, at least for these stories, is the one who stands against this exodus and actually refuses. I'm sure you've heard the term, like, let my people go, the statement that Moses was making over and over, and Pharaoh refused, and he kept refusing to the point that God visited plagues upon the Egyptians for this. This is where we hear about, like, the unalivement of the Egyptians' firstborn sons, the spreading of the lamb, the fluid of the lamb, I don't know how to say that TikTok appropriately, across the door frames to prevent the spirit from, unaliving the firstborn children. This is where you got the boils and the locusts and, like, the plagues. And it is after all of this in this story, a really strong part of this story is that Pharaoh is very nearly convinced. He is there and he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna let him go. Like, this whole time, that was the point. And then God, when Pharaoh was at that point, God literally, in the Bible says, he hardened his heart. So
Okay,
Pharaoh
wait.
was going to do something, and God made it so he did not do that thing.
Hold up. With the thing about hardening. Yes.
Shadow.
I'm sorry, Shadow. I was trying to support his point, and I got dragged in. I'm so sorry, Shadow.
Okay, sorry if you guys hear anything in the back. But with the thing harden, a lot of people, like, yeah, it might seem like harden is such a harsh word, but it's not really what they meant. Like, it's not really a harden. Like, in our modern day, hardening is like someone's heart sounds like mind control or brainwashing. But back then, in the ancient Hebrew, there were three completely different words that meant something completely different.
Okay, can you prove that? Can you support that?
Yeah, when in the Bible, when God says harden,
No,
full
not explain it. Can
Evidence
you,
in
like,
Imperial.
Scripture.
point me? Can you point me to a source
Um,
or, like, what it is? Go ahead, Shadow.
I don't even think that's necessary because we can see the result in the Bible. We see that God hardens Pharaoh's heart, and the people are not released. They need to go through more plagues. So Pharaoh wants to let the people go. He relents. He wants to let the people go. God hardens his heart, and if it wasn't for that, then the people would not have continued to be slaves. So it's self-evident in the text. And I will say that you've been a pretty good faith like conversator here, so I want to, like, extend that to you as well. I think you do know more than the average Christian about the
I'm not a
verses.
Christian, guy.
Oh, you're not? Sorry, I just got here.
Oh, it's okay. But about that, for me
Yeah,
personally,
go ahead.
when I read that part, I didn't see that he was he was making him and actually, like, making him, hardening him to actually do it. I see it that when he brought the plagues upon Egypt, he was applying pressure to Pharaoh's kingdom. Like, he was still doing it. He was still trying to give him that word, like, you need to. Pharaoh was already, he was already making his own choice. Okay, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to release them, whatever. But God was like, okay, you don't want to release them. You don't want to do what's good. Now I'm going to apply pressure. That's what he was doing. He was applying pressure to Pharaoh's kingdom. He did not go inside his mind. He did not go inside his mind and force him. No, God gave Pharaoh a second wind of courage so that he wouldn't just surrender out of terror. God leveled the playing fields so that Pharaoh could make a choice based off of what he actually wanted rather than being forced by fear.
Okay, did God prevent the Israelites from being let go when Pharaoh wanted to let them go?
Prevent? No. Well, prevent. Did he prevent?
So Pharaoh is going to let the Israelites go. God hardens his heart. God does something. And then the Israelites are still slaves. Did God prevent the slaves from being free in that moment?
Yes, he prevented them because because in the Hebrew word, they use a word named kazik or kazak or something, and it literally means to strengthen his resolve. So when God was pressuring, or when God was, according to you guys, hardening his heart to make him not release them, God was only doing that so that when he actually does release them, he releases them with no go backs. He releases them with not him making him think like, oh, but no. He made him think, okay, no, he has to. There's no other choice. Because if he didn't release them right there, and he released them when God was telling him, or when they were trying to get them released, it would have been tricky because he's like, oh, but there's not really anything bad happening. Da, da, da. He would have just made excuses. That's why when God did that, he hardened his heart so that he can have more encouragement, it can make his heart heavy, because a lot of people, they're heavy with pride, and he was a proud king who viewed himself as a god. But when God hardened his heart, it straightened his resolvement.
Yeah, you could say pressure. I could say manipulated.
I mean, God didn't intend evil or inject cruelty into a peaceful Pharaoh's mind. He was already a tyrant who was enslaving millions. When God wrung him out of the plagues, the deep-seated pride and rebellion that Pharaoh freely chose poured out on everyone else to see. So he was doing things so that people could see. You don't need to be forced to be around this guy, and you could see all the bad things he's doing. You could see he's not helping you guys. You could see he's making you guys slaves. You could see that even with all these things coming, he's still really bad. So that's why when he hardened his heart, it was strengthening his resolvement. God never forces a good person to do bad things just to punish them. Foe wanted to be the enemy of God. He wanted to, and he wanted to keep his slaves, and he wanted to maintain his pride. God simply allowed him to have exactly what he wanted and used that stubbornness to show the world his power.
Oh, well, Pharaoh wanted to let the people go. So did God do that, or did God prevent that from happening?
I mean, when you're saying that, you can see through Judas, Peter, Pharaoh, the human beings making choices on their deepest desires, and God weaves those choices into his master plan. It's not that God forces you, he gives you prevention. Like, you don't do this and this is what's going to happen. You do this and this is what's going to happen. That's exactly what's happening in the real world. If you go out and you decide to murder somebody, you know deep in your heart what's going to happen. You're going to go to jail, and you're never going to get out of jail. You're probably going to die in jail, or you might be released at a really old age, missing a lot of opportunities in life, and you're also ending an innocent life. But you can either choose, okay, yeah, I might know this, but you know what? I'm gonna not do it. That's your free will. That's your choice. That's you. Yes, God already knew that you were gonna say no, but that's what your mind stated. That's what you wanted to. Because there are some people, you can compare a person that was raised around a person that might be in a gang compared to a person that doesn't even know much about gangs, doesn't even know about that. They don't even like that. A person that's in a gang, that have killed people multiple times, they might go out and they might see, yes, okay, yeah, sure, this person, they disrespected my gang. Let me go shoot them up, or let me go do something to them. They might do that with no trouble because they have had a lot of experience with that. But what other person, they might say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's just something simple. It's just the way you were raised. If it's not really God constructing you to do that. It's not God constructing you to murder somebody. It's not God constructing you to not murder somebody. It's your free choice. If you want to go do something, you go do something. Just because God knows what you're going to do does not mean he prevents you from doing other things. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I might believe in his word, but that does not mean I'm believing his word because God is over here telling me you better believe in my word because that's the only way to go. No, I'm believing in his word because I want to believe in his word. That's my free will.
No,
And my
okay, but do you understand? But do you hold on? Do
up.
you understand?
My
No,
also free
no.
will is that
You have been
if I
going for
didn't want
3
to,
minutes.
hold up. Everybody's coming asking me questions.
You're saying the same
dishonest.
thing. And I'm trying to ask you about
Okay,
something
but
that you.
I'm speaking to.
All right.
But you are being dishonest, and you keep being
How?
dishonest. Did God limit Pharaoh's choices?
Yeah, because you're saying, oh, well, God let Pharaoh do whatever he wanted. That's not what happened. Come on.
Yes, he did. He
Then
didn't force
that
Pharaoh to
breaks his
do.
free
He
will.
didn't force
That
a good person to do
literally
bad things
breaks
or
his free
just to
will.
punish him.
Okay.
God did not
It doesn't
force.
matter. None of that matters. Your argument was that free will exists and God would never do it. God allows pain and suffering because he will not break free will. But he literally broke Pharaoh's free will. It shows, and he does this in the Bible in many places. He literally broke Pharaoh's free will to prevent him from releasing the Hebrews.
How?
That's what it says.
You just agreed. He
No, I'm
wanted to
asking you.
release.
I'm
It
asking you.
says he
Tell me
wanted to
how.
release them.
He
He
did
wanted to
not
release them,
break
and God
Pharaoh's free
prevented him.
will. He did
What?
the exact opposite. He protected it. Imagine a person's holding a gun to your head and telling you to hand over your wallet. You hand it over. Did you give their wallet because you wanted to be generous?
Shit!
No.
You
Your free will is
cannot be this dumb.
overridden. The
You
thing is,
cannot be this dumb.
but
Pharaoh
can you
changed
listen?
his mind.
Host, can you